your thoughts on adding another world title to your trophy collection in front of your hometown fans here in Lafayette, Louisiana, your home state?
You know what? I love it, man. Thank y'all, Lafayette. Thank y'all, everybody that came out. I told y'all I'm the fucking real deal. These little boys that won't fought it cannot fuck with me. I am the best, and I'm gonna keep proving it. That dude that's a tough ass dude. He never been stopped. He barely even never lost, and I fucking just dominate the whole time, stop him. They can't mess with me, dog. I'm too unstoppable, brother.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 321st edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call so far, we have the solitary contender himself, champion to contender, who knows, Andy Patterson. Welcome to you, Andy. Hoping for a couple of the other boys to jump on soon as well. Ozzy and Rob are en route. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Haven't had a look in there just yet, but I'll take it there's one or two knocking about. We're going to get a guest on very shortly. We've got enough to get through this evening, actually. We'll have a look at the big fights scheduled for next week. We'll probably answer a few of your questions as well and delve into the crazy world that is the Bellew of the weeks. There's a lot of them flying in as usual, no doubt, much more as well. Let's start, Andy, in the fight capital. That is Las Vegas, and Saul Canelo Alvarez getting a win over Danny Jacobs. The score's pretty much spot on as far as I'm concerned. I had it 116, 112 to Canelo. I don't know what it was about the fight, but just left me feeling a little bit cold, I thought. I wasn't really sure what Danny Jacobs was doing. I know he had a good go. He landed some shots, but he seemed too happy at times to just coast along and maybe not get stuck in and follow the instructions of his corner. Where did you stand on Jacobs' performance, Andy, and the fight overall?
I kind of know what you mean, especially about the kind of how the fight played out. I had it 116, 112 just for record for Canelo. I just think that, okay, it was an edgy tactical affair, so to speak, but I just felt that Canelo had the final say in most exchanges. His jab was very, very good, especially when he doubled it up. It was like a sledgehammer landing. Worked the body when he had to. Jacobs, I just thought he missed quite a number of shots. For whatever advantage he tried to get with no weighing in for the second day weigh-in, he's just basically kind of throwing away that advantage, or that money for an advantage that he never seemed to have used, which would probably try and maintain size, maybe try and deplete himself or try and rehydrate himself, so he wasn't depleted in the ring. He's failed to do that. So in the end, Canelo, in my opinion, was a worthy winner, mate.
Thanks, Andy. Joining us on the call now. Delighted to have a big winner from last night. It's John Ryder. How are you, John?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much for joining us. You must be absolutely buzzing at the moment. A big win on a fight and a show of such magnitude.
Mate, yeah, you know what? I mean, I got to sit ringside for Canelo Jacobs, and what an atmosphere. The Mexicans really know how to have a good time at a show and really make the atmosphere come alive.
What was your opinion of the main event? Then you were sitting there watching the best of the best, Canelo and Jacobs going at it. We're just talking about it now. How did you see it play out?
I think that is genuinely the problem. It was the best of the best, and they often nullified each other's attributes. I mean, there was a lot of shots thrown and a lot of shots missed, and it probably made it closer than it looked or seemed. But I feel like it was a real close fight. Jacobs maybe started a bit too slow and had a bit off in the middle rounds, which probably ultimately cost him. But I mean, it's always going to be hard to beat Canelo in Vegas on points.
Yeah, it certainly would be. They're looking at Canelo obviously going on to have the third fight with Triple G. If that comes off, how would you see it going?
I think more of the same from Canelo, really. I think GGG might be just past his best. And I think it's Canelo's time.
Just looking back at your fight then, obviously, what was the plan, John? Was it to box your way in, see what happened? And, was that the plan? But you obviously caught him and just went with it?
Yeah, pretty much just... I've been watching tape back of him. He's always dangerous to the first four. He's got a high guard for the first four. Comes in swinging a bit. So it's always just a plan, just to be sensible, box by a jab, counter punch. But yeah, I mean, I was as surprised as anyone when the knockdown came in the third round.
He looked quite a powerful guy. He'd been sparring with Canelo as well. Had you had a good look at him beforehand, and did he box the way you expected?
Yeah, I think he came out a bit slower than I expected. I thought he'd come out swinging from the start, but he was very negative in the first round, hence the boos from the Mexicans. But they always want to see a bit of blood, don't they? But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought I was just happy just to get the first round in the bag and just win round by round. And I mean, I was planning for a long night, maybe a late stoppage, points win. But yeah, when the knockdown came in the third round, I thought the first one might have been flashy, it might have come back strong. But after the second knockdown, I thought the end was pretty near.
And the punch that you caught him to start things off in the third round was the same right hook that's worked so well against guys in the past, like the likes of Patrick Nielsen, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real shot of mine. I think that shot has done the last 4 opponents. Hence with the body shot with Sorokin, but yeah, the right hook's probably now my best shot.
Yeah, it's the honey punch at the moment. You mentioned the last 4 opponents. You're really in the form of your life at the moment.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I feel great. I'm on a real high. I'm on the cusp of a wave. Do you know what I mean? I don't want this wave to stop, but it's a great thing. I think someone tweeted yesterday the last 4 opponents at 89-2, and I think, do you know what? That's just shows how strong I'm feeling, how well I'm boxing, and the level I'm at now.
Just moving forward, then you snared yourself a belt, obviously. Given your position, you accepted the Lemieux fight, and this fight as well, obviously against Akawi. You took a bit of a risk, really.
Yeah, I mean, I could have sat back and just waited on the manager position, but there's no value in that. I don't think you end up getting stale and stagnant. You end up getting a bit despondent of the sport. So I just wanted to keep busy, and I mean, what a show to keep busy on. It was a great event.
Yeah, they're talking about Callum Smith. He's fighting on June the 1st in New York, so technically he could be tied up there for a few months. So what do you do with yourself now?
Just enjoy this victory. I've got a baby due in August, so I'll spend a bit of time being a dad to my daughter and a partner to my missus, and just live a normal life for a couple of months and help out where I've not been helping out for the last few months, and yeah, just live a normal life, then get back to the boxing soon.
Yes, certainly. Congratulations and good luck with all that as well. So regarding the politics of the belt, not concerned about that at the moment?
No, I believe my time will come. I've spoke to Eddie, and he says that I will get my shot. So I'm happy to take his word for it, and yeah, I believe my shot will come.
And as for Lemieux, would you think you'll end up fighting him in the future, or is that sort of slipped by now?
I don't know. Never say never. Do you know what I mean? It's always a big fight. If the timing's right, then we'll take it. But we've got to do what's right for me now.
Certainly, and you've earned it as well, John. Thank you very much for joining us as always, and you got the best of luck going forward, man.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for the support.
Cheers, John. All the best now.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers. John Ryder there, Andy. We will be talking about his fight shortly, but fresh over in Las Vegas, he's done the business again, and he's just gone out and just consistently beating people.
He was very calm last night. I was obviously well kind of late replacement opponent and stuff. So as he says, he was slightly negative. I wouldn't say he was slightly negative, more like Akawi was more negative. He was kind of on the back foot. You could hear the boos as John was mentioning there. But the punch that turned it all around was that short right hook on the inside. Was absolutely fantastic shot. Kind of got everything behind it, and it just changed the whole complexion of the fight. And I'm glad they actually got it done early actually as well, because you just never know on any type of cards and that as well. If it got kind of dirty in that, it could have been cuts. It could have went to cards, and so I'm glad to see they got the stoppage. Gets his stock up a little bit as well. And I'm glad you asked about the politics side of things, because I think it's Smith's the super champ, and is it Canelo's got the other belt and stuff. I noticed that was a final eliminator, but also it was listed as some sort of interim belt there last night as well. So I don't know if that's true, but yeah, just WBA politics, I suppose. But I suppose at this point, the main fight to probably happen would be to fight Callum Smith. But I know you mentioned he's got a fight lined up and that. So what I was thinking about mainly, would Canelo take that fight as an interim fight, because we know he has got this big, this big contract. He has got this number of fights to kind of make up and stuff, and he's kind of fluctuating between weights at the minute. So, would he potentially see that fight with Ryder as a basically kind of keep busy fight, so to speak?
Yeah, you never know. He might fluctuate on up. The thing is, Ryder won the interim title. If you click on the interim title, that then goes back to Canelo having previously fought for it against Rocky Fielding. So I must admit, Andy, I'm out the loop here on who's winning what. It seems Canelo won the interim belt, the same interim belt that and then vacated it. That Ryder won last night. That's what BoxRec seems to be telling me. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know. Because he was a regular champion, wasn't he, Rocky Fielding?
Yeah,
So.
he beat that. He beat the German boy. He beat the German guy.
Zoiger,
that's who it was. Knocked him out or something like that.
yeah.
But so I think Canelo holds that regular title bullshit.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Few names knocking about Rob Barnett, Phil Bant, Oliver Barber. Few new names. John Doe's in there. Tosh Bear, Tommy Hearns lives on. Ant as well. Haven't seen. There's Kaiser Cobra as well. Welcome to Rapping Rob Kelly. Rob, let's bring you in then, shall we?
Any sign of Chukwu, no?
No sign of Chukwu yet. I'll timestamp it when his ass turns up there,
just
Rob.
Make sure to put that in the timestamp. That's a new feature for our avid listeners, of course. Every episode on YouTube, they're going to be time-stamped with the subject matter that we discuss over 2.5 hours every fucking week.
Got to stick with the times. Got to stick with Rob, I believe you're going to do the time-stamping this week. Now, Rob has volunteered, everybody.
Yep.
On his lunch break tomorrow. He's not going to have any dinner. He's going to sit and do the time-stamping. Congratulations, Rob.
Definitely.
Well done.
For nothing. You wouldn't even buy us a pint, you main gets. Go and get on that Patreon, then you can make your demands at will. Buy us a drink, you main gets.
Right, Rob, let me get you in with a question here because I haven't mentioned this to Andy yet. We've started discussing the fight. We had John Ryder on. You just missed him there, but congratulations to John.
Well done, John.
Sure you echo those sentiments as well. Talk to me about Danny Jacobs. One thing I noticed last night, obviously, was the fact that he kept going southpaw all the time. Was that a good move? Was that a bad move? He looked uncomfortable to me. Now, people might say, okay, he's going southpaw, Rob, to try and change things up and maybe try and confuse Canelo. Canelo's too experienced. This is a guy of the highest caliber. If Canelo's going to be confused by somebody going southpaw, then he's in trouble, you know what I mean?
Well, I did say last week after Rungvisai tried it was the switch from orthodox to southpaw, the new shoulder roll, because ever since Crawford's made it his thing to do, as everyone copycat. I don't know, strange. I thought it was a strange performance from Danny Jacobs, in terms of the fact that he didn't seem like he went for it. Now I don't know if he was scared of Canelo's power, whether there's a bit of pop on those counters that just made him wary about getting knocked out, but. He was pushing a little bit with the jab. I mean, I thought it was a battle of the jabs for the first 2 or 3 rounds, but Canelo was coming off the better with the jabs. Danny Jacobs was kind of pushing his jab out, and for the bigger guy, he didn't really seem. I don't know. I thought it was a strange one. He didn't really seem to be as in the fight as he was against GGG, which probably says a little bit more from Canelo. I think Golovkin can be a little bit more stagnant when he's right in front of you. Canelo has to be said. You have to give the guy credit where it's due. His head movement, his slipping his shots from the inside is like he used to be good at it, and now he's excellent at it. He's really, really good. I used to kind of laugh at people comparing him to Tony. I still don't think he's that good, but the way he just slips out of distance, slips over to the left or the right, just makes you wary about throwing and any counters. And the key is countering. When you make the guy miss, you have to make him pay. And Canelo does that in abundance. So I thought he was a clear winner, and it's kind of an easy night for him last night. The one thing I'd say about switching to the southpaw stance was it made it easier for Canelo to drop that left hand to the body. So he was struggling to find Jacobs to the body for the first couple of rounds.
Straight right hand as well, mate.
Yeah, and a straight right hand as well. But that left hook to the body, he wasn't really trying to go to the body. He was using the right to go to the body more so. And then when Jacobs moved to southpaw, he just dipped it in easily. And yeah, like you said, he's super experienced now. 51 fights, obviously turning pro at 15. He's done all that road work. He's done and he's fought top guys for the most of his career, Canelo, regardless of what you think of him. And to be honest with you, as a Canelo supporter, it has been a little bit soured with the Mexican meat scandal. I can't really kind of let it go, but every time I'm looking at him, I'm looking for signs of the juice on him, and with Jacobs as well. But we have to take all that aside and take him on his merits. He passed his B sample, didn't he? So thought it was an easy night's work for Canelo, and it's hard to see a middleweight that can beat Canelo at the moment. I can't see anyone out there that beats him. I know Eddie Hearn went straight to Andrade beats him after he got rid of one.
When are they going to stop that nonsense? I mean, come on.
Andre, but he might beat him if he bored him to tears, but he's not going to beat him in a fight. So it's interesting to see where does he stay. Middleweights is kind of light at the moment. Who does he fight? One of the Charlos on the basis of their last fights, they don't look like they pose much of a threat to him either. So I really don't know where do we get an opponent for Canelo that's going to test him. I know what we are going to get though. We're going to get that third Golovkin fight.
Yeah, they're all ready for it now, aren't they?
Yeah, Golovkin even like tried to turn heel, I think, with some of his tweets last night to say that was a nice sparring session and that they didn't give anything to the fans. So, watch
State
this
of
space.
Golovkin last night, man. Looked like a transgender makeup fucking model,
Dude,
by the way.
that's what I was going to say to you, man. He's like, he looked like he was kind of one of those holiday reps. What was the fucking show again years ago with Sue Pollard in it?
Oh,
You know the one I'm talking
I
about.
know.
Heidi High.
that's
Heidi
the-
High, yeah. He looked like he was breaking into the fucking wardrobe for Heidi High last night with the yellow blazer on him. please, I know. Michelle, come on.
Shout out to the younger listeners there, Bob, who might not remember that.
big drama show.
So yeah, I don't know. We're going to get Golovkin Canelo 3, and for me, there's only one winner in that one.
Rob, just picking up on something you said there. Actually, we had a question coming from Declan Graffin, which is similar to something you were talking about. He said, I'm a big fan of Canelo, but what is the panel's opinion on his physical makeup? Seems to be ripped since the first Triple G fight and has developed a chin of granite. He goes from getting badly rocked against Cotto's brother to taking flush shots off big punchers like Triple G and Jacobs and not blinking, still getting benefits off the Mexican meat, ?
I don't know. Like, it's hard to... I don't know all the training you can do. And from my knowledge of steroids and PEDs, I don't know if it can make you get a better beard. I mean, I think people read way too much into that. Cotto's brother, he didn't even get knocked down, dude. Like, he got wobbled for a second. He was in banging trouble, but he was only a kid.
It's boxing, you know.
It's boxing, yeah. He was only a kid, and he didn't see the shot either, which doesn't help, you know what I mean? So, and he showed good powers of recovery, I think, in that fight as well, because he got rid of the guy in the next round. So, he's always had a beard as long as he's been fighting at the top level. The closest I've ever seen him to getting stopped was against Floyd, and I think that was just pure bewilderment. Like, he didn't know what to do, how to act, how to adjust in the ring, and it was a stage where I thought Floyd was going to take him out in that fight. But since then, he's rarely looked dazed, if even in trouble. And like you said, yeah, shipped big shots to Golovkin, didn't budge, and shipped a big shot to Danny Jacobs last night and didn't budge either. So he's the real deal anyway, or he's after developing into the real deal. Whether there is, whether he is still getting the benefits of PED use, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of sick of talking about it at this stage. It's rife in boxing. We don't know. He cleared his B sample, like I said, so we kind of have to judge him on his on merit for where he is at the moment. But he's after turning into whatever it is, whatever the case may be with him. He's after turning into a right little fighter. Very, very good performance last night.
Yep, well done. Well said, Rob. I would agree with that. Let's just turn our attention briefly now to the TV situation. I watched the DAZN version last night, but me and Andy were talking off the air. Apparently, there seems like there was two versions. Brian Kenny and Sergio Mora were doing one of them. The version I watched was another dude alongside Barry Tompkins, and they made the point that whenever Jacob stood in front of Canelo, he presented a sitting target. You know, side to side, constant movement that was required, so Canelo couldn't set himself up as easily. I know it's easy sitting here and talking about these things because Canelo, as Rob rightly said, is a master of his craft. But you remember Erislandy Lara gave him so much trouble because he never quite knew where Lara was going to be for too long, so it was harder to time him and to pin him down. But anyway, Bellew of the Week to the DAZN pairing, who said that neither man had been knocked out in their careers last night, of course, forgetting the Dimitri Pirog fight. And moving on to Sky, I'm assuming that's the version you saw. Box Royalty was one of many people who tweeted me complaining about the ever-present Carl Froch. Froch genuinely doesn't give a fuck, just happy for the trip and the Sky wage, effortless prick. He's just painful to listen to, and his opinions are dog shit, says Box Royalty. Not a fan.
He had Canelo up a point, I think, after 5 rounds. I'm sorry, but I think Canelo swept the board the first 5 rounds, in my opinion. I thought Jacobs left it far too late to kind of get started. Probably about round 8. It was a good exchange in that, by both in that round, actually. But yeah, Froch he's just incapable. Like, he's going to be doing some research and just putting a biased opinion across. I mean, for example, who are we talking about here? Well, I remember the Herrera fight, for example. You know, he's never been knocked out, but at 39 years of age, and that is he still hungry and all that type of stuff. You know, another thing he's going about Saddam Ali. I think he said something along the lines of, like, he was, you know, we know he's confident and he can fight and all that sort of stuff. But that's all the opinion he gave on Saddam Ali. You know, nothing about the fact is he got, you know, probably he's nothing about the fact is he got his absolute prime kicked out him by fucking Munguia.
I bet he doesn't even know that happened. On it, genuinely
doesn't know.
doesn't.
Probably, doesn't he?
I was going to say that's about the height of the information that he knows about Saddam Ali. And do you know what as well? I think he nailed his flag to the mast, didn't he? Like he was pulling the company line. He was going for Jacobs before the fight for the upset. So he was kind of reluctant when the fight was going on to give Canelo as much credit as he deserved. So yeah, he definitely was picking Jacobs before the fight, I think. So towing the Eddie Hearn line there.
Looking at Jacob's technique, Andy, I think it's because his arms are so long and he's such a tall guy. It suffers a little bit when he's on the inside. You know, you can imagine him needing to use those long levers, and he can't be as effective on the inside. But we spoke about him trying to get to the body, and also he was leaving himself open by going southpaw. But the cross-arm defence was leaving him open to the left hook as well. He was better when he moved, he blocked and he slipped. I was disappointed that he didn't listen to Andre Rosier more. And Rosier is a good trainer, in my opinion. But as for going forward, Andy, is Billy Joe Saunders the only guy that can cause Canelo trouble, says Matthew D'Souza in the chat?
Well, just on the Jacobs comments, I agree with you because, as I said, I think I even mentioned it last week. Everything that Jacobs could do, Canelo could do it. Probably twice better. As I say, his jab was fantastic. As Rob mentioned, when Jacobs went southpaw, he was finding gaps for the left hook. He was dipping his head to the left hand side and bringing the right hand up the middle. So he was catching Jacobs either southpaw or orthodox. Okay, Jacobs, as I say, he caught him good with, I think it was a left hook in the 8th round, I think it was, and he was getting a few body shots in. Some were kind of maybe straying, maybe slightly low, but this wasn't enough. For a guy who was pumped up for the fight, at the weigh-in, I just thought, he'd have brought it to him much harder than what he did, and he didn't do it. I thought he left it far too late, and even then, going into the 12th round, probably thinking and knowing, that he needed a knockout. He didn't seem to push for it, and then he's seen after the fight, for example, that he thought he did more than enough to basically get the win. But I'm sorry, but that is like the kind of Badou Jack syndrome. You do enough to lose or get a draw. But as for Billy Joe Saunders, if you're talking boxing technique and defence and stuff, I think it's probably a very, very good fight, that, because as we mentioned last week, and as Rob's alluded to as well, is that Canelo, adjustment wise, back off that Floyd fight, has made good strides, and he's worked on his defence and that. You can see that Saunders has got quite decent defence, natural southpaw. I just don't know if he can match the work rate, actually, and obviously as well. I know that I don't know if the PED stuff is going to be like it's going to help him going forward, and that obviously he can get natural gains and that if you've been caught before, it's been mentioned. But Saunders at this point probably would be the one that's going to cause him problems. Golovkin is now on the slide. Then Dam's obviously done. I don't think there's any point seeing that fight. So other than that, I can't even think anybody coming up through the ranks and that who's going to present a challenge from at this time.
Who's in Dam fighting, Andy? I saw his name being thrown out this week.
He's
super middleweight against. Is it Ramirez or Benavides?
No, it's who was it?
I saw that as well. I was trying to think. I saw his name in a shake for a title.
Yeah.
Is it Callum Smith? It's not Callum Smith, is it?
That might be Smith, actually.
It is Callum Smith.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. What Callum Smith needs. He's gone back into hiding against Smith.
It's just it's a career. It's not so much of a waste, but it's just like once a year and that. Other than that, he must be, as I say, Smith must be struggling to make that weight. Hence the reason why he's only fighting once a year. So.
Yeah, the chat have confirmed it is Callum Smith. The Texas Tornado is in with us, Gabe Lewis. Just before we come to you, Gabe, question for you, Rob, coming in to the chat box from Rob Barnett there over on youtube.com/Boxing Asylum. How can Canelo be considered as a pound-for-pound number one or even top 5 when he has arguably lost against Triple G twice and Lara was touch and go? Well, that's true, but I mean, you took that. At the end of the day, he won the fights. You're getting into the territory, Rob. Do you remember me arguing with that idiot on Twitter who blocked me because he said that Felix Trinidad's reign wasn't as good because he had him losing to Oscar De La Hoya, and that was the only breaking point, a fight that he actually officially won?
Well, look, I like Rob. He's a good contributor to the podcast and to the chat every week. But I think that's a bit harsh. I mean, look, I don't have him pound for pound number one. I think it's between Lomachenko and Crawford, but he's up there. I mean, his record is, the names on his record, regardless of when he got him, are very, very good. His resume is incredible from, I'd say after the Gomez fight, which was a bit of a gimme for him, he's had all tough opponents. Like, he hasn't had really any gimmies when you think about it. I mean, maybe Angulo was there for the taking. Kirkland might have been there for the taking. Lara's contentious. It's a lot of, like, the Lara fight was a hard one. I kind of had Lara winning that by a round on the night when I scored it. I've never looked at it back since and scored it, but it was a close fight all the same. And Lara's an elite fighter. Like, Lara's no mug. Even at this stage of his career, he'd give any of the 54s a nightmare. So, and the Golovkin fights, I thought he lost the first one. I couldn't make an argument for him winning the first one, but he definitely won the second one. To me, anyway, I thought he won the second one clearly in a close fight. I don't think Golovkin did enough, and Golovkin wasn't able to make any adjustments from the first fight to cause him any trouble. So I think he's rightfully in contention in the pound-for-pound spot. He has to be in the top three, whatever way you spin it, I think. So I wouldn't hold those the results of the Golovkin fight against him, because Golovkin was was probably the best in the world, and one of the pound-for-pound top guys at the time as well. So he's in the shake-up as it stands in 2019. I think Canelo is rightfully in the mix for the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
Yeah, in fairness to Rob, he did send a second message saying, I appreciate his record is incredible and he doesn't duck anybody, but to be considered pound for pound, great victories have to be clear-cut, and some of Canelo's biggest fights are far from it. Right, the only clear-cut thing I know right now is Gabe Lewis is ready to spew. Come on then, Gabe. I had it 116, 112 to Canelo. What did you score the fight?
I had it the same score. It was not all really that close of a fight. There was some rounds that I thought were semi-close, but I mean, I think it went kind of how I expected, without Jacobs moving in and out and changing up the range real well. He didn't have success. When he did have success, you could see him. He'd be out at range using his jab a little bit, and then sometimes he would step inside and have a little bit of success, and then on the way back out he could throw a jab or he really didn't seem to try too many straight punches. It seemed like he was afraid to, because he knew he was going to get fucking countered. So really, I mean, I thought it was a great performance by Canelo. Daniel Jacobs just, to me, didn't do enough to win a lot of rounds there. I mean, I think maybe he felt like the big punches were going to do something. Maybe he thought he could hurt him. But I mean, that's a terrible strategy for really anybody. I never like to see a guy bank on landed a couple of big punches. It just doesn't make any sense. You should, in my mind, step into the ring looking to have a plan to connect as often and frequently as possible, and he really didn't display anything of that nature. So, you know, I watched it. I felt like it wasn't really that close. I thought the fight overall was, I mean, it wasn't a terrible fight. Decent evening on that fight. I didn't get to see any of the undercard. But like I said, Canelo, his defense was what really did the trick. I mean, I felt like he was able to make Jacobs miss a lot, landed his counter punch, and like I talked about last week, he's developed into a really fine boxer, and I think that you saw that last night against a guy who maybe doesn't get a lot of credit for being a real good boxer. Pretty solid evening.
Good stuff, Gabe. In the car, going out to a hit. Who knows what's in that boot at the moment? We can only guess, I suppose. The chat are discussing Jarrett Hurd, actually.
It's a snake.
It's a snake? There you go. Gabe out trapping.
Goddamn rattler.
Goddamn rattler. Maybe Gabe could get bitten live on air. Who knows?
Is it Sergio the Snake Mora? Or is Gabe going to go?
He is not allowed in my vehicle.
Is it going to be Gabe or serial killer?
The chat are talking about Jarrett Hurd. He's fighting next week against Julian J. Rock Williams. We'll get to that fight in due course. Let's get on to the undercard then. Gabe didn't see a single second of it, Andy. We've spoken to John Ryder already. We've seen that one. I didn't see the Saddam Ali fight. They didn't show it on the DAZN feed that I watched. He lost to Anthony Young. You can talk about that if you wish. Virgil Ortiz looked very impressive, I thought, against a bit of a shop-worn Mauricio Herrera now. They can't really push him out anymore, even on name value. He's starting to look a bit sorry for himself, a little bit maybe chin broken, perhaps Herrera. Not that impressed by Lamont Roach. I've seen him in the past. He had a decent fight. And if you make him work, he does look a lot better. But Jonathan Oquendo, I thought, did a few good things in that fight. And Freddie Fonseca against Joseph Diaz. Liking this new Joseph Diaz, liking his haircut. And I'm liking, Andy, the fact that Jojo Diaz is actually going for it now. He's throwing punches. He's not standing off and boxing. He's learnt a lot from the Gary Russell fight. Talk about that one or whatever else you want on the undercard.
And he also became the vacant WBA gold super featherweight champion.
Amazing. Well done to him.
Well done to him. No, I seen the Ortiz knockout. It was pretty emphatic, wasn't it? It was just more like along the lines of Herrera's. What is he, 38, 39 now? He has been a good servant. One of those guys, I always felt sorry for him when he fought Danny Garcia. Should have got a decision, but just a shame for him. And other than that, on that card, I didn't see Diaz. I think I was still asleep at the time, and John Ryder obviously as well. As I say, it was the short right hook on the inside was what really kind of changed the course of that fight, and then he took him out of there. So fair play to John. So yeah, just on the Ali fight, I'd noticed a couple of guys on Twitter and that taking somebody's advice about Ali getting knocked out off this Anthony Young, which he duly did in 3 rounds. But as I says as well, I don't know if it was mentioned or I've not seen the fight, but I don't know if it was mentioned on the broadcast that anybody's seen it or anything like that. But in my opinion, Munguia just basically kind of beat whatever was left at Ali right out of him. And if he's getting beat off Anthony Young inside 3 rounds, who I don't think is a big puncher, I think it's kind of writing on the wall for Ali.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall for Ali. Regarding Herrera, the only person I really remember working him over was the talented but frustrating Frankie Gomez, the guy who could never get down in weight, but he always had the ability, and a few trainers tried, but they couldn't do anything with him. He really looked good against Herrera, and he was an excellent fighter, Gomez, but no discipline, all the ability in the world. That's the way it goes. Rob, you're putting your ability to good use. Anything from the undercard that you managed to see? What version did you watch of this show, by the way?
I watched bits and pieces of it on different feeds this morning, so I didn't stay up and watch it last night. I tried to, but I'm just old now, dude. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I'm the same, man. I'm the same, yeah.
Unless it's a super fight, I'm not going to stay up and watch it live. But credit to John Ryder. I mean, I would love to see Sky fully get behind John Ryder now, because as good as his performances have been, he seems to be a big part player in the makeup. Now, I know John's a quiet dude, and he's very humble, and he doesn't trash talk anybody, but Adam Smith loves a story. And what story is better than John Ryder's? Like, you lose to Nick Blackwell, lose to Billy Joe Saunders, what's the other loss on his record? Arfield, is it?
Was it Jack Armfield beat him, or Rocky? He fought Rocky Fielding.
Rocky Fielding, I thought he won that fight, but he lost the decision, and you're thinking, where does he go now? And then he just comes back with stoppage after stoppage after stoppage after stoppage. And on the bigger stages, like the Nielsen one, I would have had him an underdog going into that for some people. Brilliant right hook in that fight. And that right hook is after becoming his money punch since he moved up to 68. Absolutely fantastic shot to get the ball rolling last night. And I like that he had a bit of the killer in him, where he got rid of Akawi afterwards, after having him hurt. Shout out to referee Jay Nady, who took a punch in the stomach as he was calling the fight off. As Akawi tried to throw back, he said, "Good shot. The fight's over." So I don't know if you caught that on the feed, but it's what
I saw Akawi going, "Fuck!"
Yeah, it was comedy value. Like, he went,
yeah, I clocked it. It was a right hook, I think.
Yeah, he went, "Ooh, good shot. Fight's over." Good for John Ryder. Like, and I hope he wins the title outright, because if anyone deserves it, it's him. And what a story that is. Like, forget you, Dave Allen. That John Ryder, to come back from losing to Blackwell and Anfield to get to where he is now at 68 is absolutely unbelievable, and he deserves all the credit. Not just because he comes on the asylum, and not just because he's distantly related to me or whatever, but he's everything good about the sport. Dedicated himself to it. Like, there was a time where he was going to quit and become a bouncer. You know what I mean? So he was
finished with Hurd, as somebody mentioned in the chat, wasn't he, basically? And then didn't he come back on like a fight-by-fight basis?
Well, I felt like Hurd threw him under the bus with the feeling one. Fighting Liverpool, didn't get the rub of the green on the cards, despite I thought I wouldn't say it was a close. I know it was a close fight. Feeling's going to give you that with his size, but I thought John did enough to win that fight 7-5 that night and didn't get it. So you could see he wasn't in Hearn's plans really. It was Feeling, but he's gone on the road, done it the hard way, and he's come back. He's put himself back in the picture at Sky. So I'd like to see them fully get behind him in terms of getting him a good payday now, because he deserves it.
Yeah, before we go over to Stockton, California, there is a message coming from Rob Barnett as well. Andy, you might be interested in this one, but we've been discussing this on and off and hearing bits and pieces about this. He said, what's your thoughts, the thoughts from you guys on how much longer Sky can retain boxing when it is abundantly clear DAZN will be making a move into the UK market soon? Sooner the better, in my opinion, says Rob. Well, this is the interesting thing, isn't it, Andy? I know Eddie is in charge of Matchroom, but people see him as the official face of things. You know, whenever anything happens at DAZN, they're congratulating Eddie for signing Canelo and all this type of stuff. So whether he's got anything to do with it or not, he is the face of DAZN, and he's also providing boxing and through his company darts as well to Sky. So he's sort of talking out different sides of his mouth at the moment, Eddie. Heaven forbid. But anyway, where's this going to end? Because I've said it before, you've got DAZN going on about the death of pay-per-view. Oh, doing these little memes, smashing up the pay-per-view. When on the other side, you've got Sky trying to sell the same thing to the UK subscribers who are going to be seeing this on Twitter and Facebook and all these other platforms. Oh, the end of pay-per-view, DAZN, the end of pay-per-view. Oh, buy Joel Miller against Anthony Joshua for £20 at 4 a.m. on a Saturday night. Oh, no, sorry, Joel Miller's out now. You've got Andy Ruiz in instead. Or if you're not happy with that, you could maybe buy Dillian White against Oscar Rivas instead. What do you mean? You've never heard of Oscar Rivas? He had a great win over Bryant Jennings. That's £20 as well. And then meanwhile, you hear in the background echoing, death of pay-per-view, death of pay-per-view. How can Sky and DAZN continue like this for much longer?
Well, I think it really depends on what kind of content DAZN's really going to be putting on their subscription. I mean, I understand that there's no available in the UK until next year. Is that right?
Apparently so, yeah.
Because they've not got right to the content and that. I mean, I'll put it this way: if they're going to come into the UK market and they're going to have all the football, so we're not talking like your shitty MLS and Chinese football. If you're talking like Germany, Italy, France, England, and all that type of thing, and then you factor in the box on top of that. And say you get the fights with Japan, America, and you get all these. Last night was supposed to be a big fight. I'm seeing Americans complaining like fuck because of the state that DAZN set up. It just felt like a kind of your bog standard Friday night fight card, so to speak. Rather than suppose pound for pound #1 fighter in the world fighting or trying to unify a division. Sky is, I'll put it this way: for what you get, for what you pay, it is absolutely shocking. Now you think about this: if DAZN come in here and they say it's like £88, say a year for all that content, and I just mentioned, I'm talking about like Champions League, European football, all these different leagues, all these different boxing contents. I'll tell you right now, man, I'll be cancelling Sky in a heartbeat so I can get that for £88 a month. When you consider, like, see, for what you pay for Sky Sports at the minute, you're getting, well, okay. People who listen to this podcast know, what type of content that we're getting on the Sky shows outside pay-per-view. The football's fucking shocking. I hate that English Premier League stuff, and it's just pish. All I watch it for is mainly is the Rangers games. I don't even watch the international fucking football. I hate cricket. I hate golf.
Imagine having to pay for that.
I know, but you think you should play for golf, cricket, and all that sort of stuff. I just think for what you pay, 90. Just say for example, £90 a month for a subscription, and that's getting you like what that. I would say £90 a month, and if you pay £88 a year, and you get all that content I just mentioned there, that's a no-brainer, man. Sky is a question, or the person who put the question is saying is they can't sustain that for much longer.
Well,
Plus you've got IPTV involved in it as well. People are using that stuff as well.
Rob's more of a neutral observer, aren't you, Rob? I mean, if you're only a boxing fan, right, and you're paying Sky, you're paying the £23-4 or whatever it is, for the basic package, and then the sports as well. Then you're having to pay on top for all these pay-per-views. Like I said, you got White, you've got Joshua, you had Usyk Bellew for £20. Meanwhile, DAZN was showing it for $10 a month. Death of pay-per-view.
Well, I'm kind of in line with the new model. Like I there was a time where I paid for Box Nation. I would have paid for Setanta over the years, BT on top of the Sky Sports package and the entertainment package. Now I don't have any of that. If I want to watch a TV show, I'll just get a download somewhere. And if there was an app coming on the market that, for like Andy says, £10 a month or whatever it may be, £8 a month, like I'm looking at my friends in America on their Facebook, and they're like defending DAZN. They're like, this is $100 a year and you get hundreds of fights. and other sports. It doesn't like it. I'd happily pay a 10 quid like Netflix to have an app there on a smart TV that I could throw on, watch those fights anytime I wanted to. It'd be worth it to me. I mean, you know, as a hardcore boxing fan, if regardless of who's the face behind it, if it's Eddie or whatever, like if there's fights like that going on for a tenner a month, you'll be all over it to watch them crystal clear and not have to worry about streams going down or any of that. No, I'd happily subscribe. I'd be all over the zone if that came to the market.
So, Gabe, what do you think about this thing then? Because obviously nobody likes a pay-per-view, but does boxing need pay-per-view when it comes to making the truly big money? I know Golovkin and Canelo have got these superb DAZN contracts, but apart from the guys, if you're a hardcore boxing fan, you're paying for DAZN, and then DAZN are sort of preaching to the choir. You know, you've got these few thousand subscribers who are watching big fights like last night. Other than that, are they able to bring in the casual fans the way that, and sustain them the way that a pay-per-view would be able to? You know, that one-off, that Mayweather-Pacquiao, that Canelo-Golovkin moment. The pay-per-view manages to bring it in and make money for everybody. But other than that, on DAZN, who else is watching DAZN apart from boxing fans? Are they going to be able to grow past their current subscriber base, Gabe? I know this is probably the longest question in history, but what do you think? Sent him to sleep.
You must have crashed the car at the question, mate.
I don't blame him, to be honest with you, Andy. I was freaking boring myself towards the end of that.
Maybe the rattlesnake got a hold of him.
I was just thinking, actually, Gabe's gone altogether. I was just thinking about this the other day in terms of like true pay-per-view fights that have gone on in my lifetime. So I'm talking super fights. So in my lifetime, I've lived through Hagler and Hearns, which are so Hagler and Hearns I don't remember because I was only like 5, but I remember clearly Leonard and Hagler. I remember Tyson Spinks, Tyson Holyfield, and then Floyd Pacquiao. But like I would say they are the true pay-per-view ones where no matter where you are on the planet, you want to see Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis, or you want to see Floyd versus Manny, or you want to see Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler. I think those ones will permeate like throughout the world. But some of the other fights that we've had on pay-per-view over the years have been dismal. I'm just wondering, like, what are the fights that you think you would definitely pay for out of the pay-per-view ones in your lifetime, like mega fights that you'd pay for every time rather than just catch a stream on?
Mayweather Pacquiao.
I'm just wondering, apart from us guys, Rob,
fuck that night by trying to get a stream for that fight.
Well,
honest to God.
We got one in the end. I'm just wondering, apart from us and the nerds, who's actually watching these things? Where are DAZN going to advertise? Apart, they're advertising forthcoming boxing on their own apps and that. I mean, look at the Rungvisai Estrada rematch, for example. We enjoyed that. We look forward to it. It was a good show. Doa Haney against Roman was good, but who in reality was actually watching that? I mean, on DAZN, 2,000-3,000 people. I mean, seriously, who was even in the arena?
And here's the dangerous thing: if DAZN make this a success, PBC version of the app comes next, because ESPN are already on it. So ESPN are already on ESPN Plus, the app. So they're going to go to an app-based subscription. Then PBC are going to go to an app-based subscription, and you're going to get a kind of an extended version of what's going on now with the fighters just being tied down to more networks and promoters. Like, it's going to be horrible.
If the DAZN do come to the UK, I want them to be doing it on Sky, basically, so you can actually then do it through that. So 80 quid a year. Sitting on the computer, I mean, it is quite tedious not trying to sit and find streams for fights that are not really like on TV for us, but
can be very hazardous as well if we're trying to do live post-fight pods and I'm 15 seconds behind everybody else.
This is true.
Well, I'm going to go into a real brief discussion on Donald Trump. I'm going to bring that up for just a second. So apparently out here in America, Trump has worked with the Democrats and begun some kind of authorization to invest, spend, however you want to term it, in internet infrastructure, power grid shit, stuff like that. So I think the reason why some of the stuff that we still have out here exists, like for me, DirecTV or some of the satellite providers and shit like that, is because like out where I live, you know, you guys have heard it get kind of robotic and stuff because the internet connections out here. I mean, we have high speed internet, of course, you know, it's old as shit, but they're working to improve all that stuff. If they get to the point where they can reach out to these kind of rural areas where we're from, then I think that you're going to see a lot more products like streaming services and stuff like that, because it's such a big portion of people that have gone that way. I mean, people watch shit on their phones more than they watch actual televisions now in a lot of cases. So whenever you talk about numbers and all those things, I think eventually they could get to a point where they could rival that of what television used to. But like you guys are saying right now, the numbers are low and they're going to stay missing a certain portion of possible subscribers because of the way that they are going with all this stuff. I mean, there's only so much that we can use at my house at one time, you know. So if I've got my wife back in the back streaming Netflix in the bedroom, and I'm watching DAZN, and my son is maybe playing a game on his phone, and the other one's fucking around on a tablet or something, you know, whatever it is, then it's going to be a real struggle for me to pull in, you know, my streaming fights and things of that nature. So I think a large part of it is that there's still a lot of people out here in the States, especially, that don't have the service and the ability to really dig in like a lot of people in more urban areas. Like you talk about Dallas, Fort Worth. I mean, I was sitting on a bench last night outside of a hotel in Dallas, and this fucking guy is streaming the fight on his phone. And we started talking about the fight. It was the undercard still when he was watching. But you know, in urban areas, the connection's so much better over the cell phone providers. The internet speeds are so much better because they're actually modern and up to date. And you know, Texas being so rural, and there's still a lot of other states that have a lot of rural living people in them, it just kind of stretches it out further, where it's harder for us to get some of the access to some of these services and things. So, I mean, I think that what you guys are talking about is part of it is because we can. You know, if all this shit that we're talking about was on TV, it'd be no problem for anyone to watch it. But being that they're going to more streaming, I think it's going to hurt. There's going to be some growing pains until, you know, if the services out in a lot of areas where I live and a lot of other people live catch up to speed with what you're seeing in the urban areas.
Gabe, you should have got that guy off the bench in. He could have replaced Hater Dave.
I should have. I didn't think about it. Fuck you, Dave. You're getting replaced.
I've got the perfect caption for the timestamp. Gabe discusses Donald Trump. So mark that down. What are we at now? 50 minutes in. So
50 minutes in.
That. There you go. Timestamp, baby.
47 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, put Trump on there. That'll really help our subscribers.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. MDev was talking about Matchroom. Whenever the contract is up with Sky Sports, I think the boxing will be over. Thing is, though, Rob, final point on this: if Sky and Matchroom do part ways on the boxing, as MDev suggests, who on earth would they even get in to replace him? No, it's okay saying Matchroom is serving up shit. We'll get Frank's over at BT, not doing a great job either. I mean, who else are they going to get?
Got the answer
domestic
for you.
boxing from?
Got the answer for you. Don't worry about it. Got it covered. Hennessy Promotions.
Yeah.
Or the return of Kelly Maloney to Sky. So it's going to be in good hands. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good hands indeed.
But Eddie's going to go where the money goes, where the money is. Don't be under any illusions. I mean, if you know, for Sky, the platform. If DAZN come away with a big check, it'll be the future. So, yeah, Matchroom is going to go where the money is.
You can smell Eddie over there already, can't you? Jacobs pushing at the way in.
I saw it. I've never seen him as happy. I was going to say that's the biggest impact he's had.
Tevin Farmer at ringside with a bit of intense beef as well.
Devin Haney, the new Mayweather. All the boys. But I never saw him so happy as when they had a little bit of press conference beef. That had Matchroom written all over it, didn't it? Like, he's definitely said, look, put the nut on this guy, like in a press conference with you. We need some app subscriptions here. Big smile on his face afterwards, like, with his blazer. Him and Oscar both had questionable blazers last night.
Be some party with them boys in Las Vegas last night.
Who was wearing the fishnets and who was doing the Charlie? That's what I want to know.
Don't know. We'll leave it down to the imagination, shall we? Right, let's go on to the next card then, Andy. ESPN. Enjoyable show, actually. I enjoyed the two main fights anyway. I didn't see the local showstopper, Gabriel Flores Jr. They were bigging up on ESPN, but I did see German Ankayas managing to stop our friend Ryuichi Funai and also Artur Beterbiev against old Hot Rod Kaladzic. Apparently, Kaladzic had hand problems, they were saying on the telecast, Andy. We were wondering last week why he'd been missing in action, but he'll have head problems this morning after taking those Beterbiev shots.
Explain to me how he is a Serbian, by the way, other than the name, because he doesn't look like a Serbian to me. That's why I couldn't remember him for that Marcus Brown fight you were trying to explain to me last week.
Oh, yes. He must be American-born or gone over there very young because he doesn't sound very Serbian either.
No, I don't know what situation is there, but I'll tell you the situation is this: he didn't deserve or even look like he belonged in that ring there last night. I don't care if he's ranked. I think he's ranked in the top 10, top 15, one of the bodies against IBF at least. But he just didn't belong in there. And I thought it was quite telling that the doctor was up in the ring apron twice. Basically, kind of saying the referee when he kind of like basically, you stop it because the guy just couldn't defend himself. He was taking heavy punishment. Beterbiev, every punch he threw was heavy, it was thudding, and the guy had no answers to it, and dropped heavily, and then stopped. I suppose it was just there was 0 point in him being in that ring there last night. As okay, Beterbiev's had his problems outside the ring and that with promotional stuff, but surely, Top Rank are going to step him up after this. Callum Johnson gave him a bit of a fright, I suppose, the first round, but ultimately got stopped. He goes 12 rounds, I think it is, with one of the German guys, and then this. So I really think he's constantly talking about Kovalev. He's wanting unification fights and stuff. So I think it's new time. I don't know if the Kovalev go be ESPN as well. I think I'm right in saying that as well. So you would think that a fight could actually be made on that platform, but I don't know.
Need to just make that now, don't they? Let's get on with it.
He must be he's well in his mid-30s now, I think, Beterbiev. Is this point now, is he either going to make up these shitty defences of the IBF crown, or he makes a unification fight, or he tries to fight some of the better or bigger names and stuff. Kovalev sounds like he's tied up with Yarde at the minute. I don't know what's happening with Bivol. Obviously, there's a situation there with Matchroom and Top Rank. Gvozdyk, I think he's with ESPN. I think I'm right in saying that. So maybe that's a fight that can be made. But either way, I don't care. I want to see the guy tested because the guys that he's fighting are basically C-level operators, or at best, like especially amongst the European guys like Callum Johnson, who are probably like European level at the absolute peak. But there's nothing there whatsoever that's kind of saying to me that anybody's going to be testing them anytime soon. And it's a shame because maybe Silly B, Marcus Brown, maybe, I don't know, but I know it's one of the guys ranked with IBF, one of the German boys. I think he's fighting Krasnicki.
Heitel against Krasnicki. That's next week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Hertel. I thought it was a guy, Sven Forling, which is different. Okay, so it's the wrong guy I was thinking about then. No, yeah, I just want to see him in the better opposition at this point, and I don't know, mate. It's just at the minute, it's just meh. It's just for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of champions and challengers, and I just want to see them get stuck into each other, I suppose.
As for Nkajas, I mean, it was a good performance from him. Actually, I'd heard on the feed that he'd actually changed up his camp this time, went more into solitude. I think he lived on an Air Force base or something like that, and did his training there, broke away from the usual habits and stuff. And I thought it maybe showing that actually, okay. I thought he was more aggressive at this point, maybe trying to make a statement, but I think it's more along the lines of, like, say, his opponent, who was typical Japanese, stand up, tough. But at one point, I think it was about the 5th round, and it was starting to get a bit uncomfortable. He's
too tough for his own good, man. Stereotypical Japanese warrior.
Oh, it's kamikaze, man. He was just taking punishment, and it was just getting really, really bad at one point. You're saying so. I think Tim Bradley mentioned it. Says, well, at what point do you say enough's enough? Because this guy just isn't going to quit. He just kept coming forward, trying his best, eating shots, and you're saying to yourself, right, okay, pal. I'll put it this way: when I was watching that fight and I heard the commentary, and I'm watching some of the punishment this guy's taking, I'm saying to myself, can you imagine another Ali Frazier third fight happening nowadays? There would be nobody will have a stomach for that fight going into the 15th round or the 14th round the way it did, because it took a special fucking animal to sit and watch, say, two guys do what they did to each other. So I don't think we'll ever see a fight like that again, but I thought that's the way it was turning, considering the amount of punishment that Japanese fighter was taking. So how much is going to be enough? And To be honest, it wasn't even competitive. I thought he was just there as a kind of punching bag, and maybe that is the type of fighter that Cajas needs to make himself look good, because we mentioned it last week. He hasn't been looking good in his last 2 or 3 defences, so maybe he's got a niche now that he can fight these guys who are stand up, straightforward, come ahead fighters, because he will look $1 million against them.
Yeah, the chat are talking about Josh Taylor against Ivan Baranchik there, and a possible final against Regis Prograis. At the top of the show, you will have heard me playing the Regis Prograis clip after he beat Kirill Relic. Quite an amusing one. Friend of the pod, Dominic Henry, alerted me to that Prograis clip. Enjoyed that one, so we got that out of the way. Also, Emily Rogerson's in the chat. Welcome to you, Emily, friend of the pod. She was asking last week if she was able to come on the panel. So, Emily, I'll see you in the chat there. Hit me up and we'll get you on tonight. No problem at all. As long as if you have a microphone and a pair of headphones, we'll get you on, Emily. So let me know. You're welcome to join at any point. Rob, anything from you on this card? Beterbiev against Kalajdzic. I thought that the doctor kept on having a word with the referee, a little whisper in his ear, saying, look, you're going to have to keep an eye on Kalajdzic here. He's taking too many shots. His legs are a little bit wobbly. And as soon as he took the first clean shot in the round 5, I think it was when he got stopped, or round 4, he jumped in and waved it off. But Beterbiev, he was quite wild. He can get hit, Callum Johnson dropped him as well. But he knows against guys like Kalajdzic who can't hurt him, he's just going to throw the bombs and get through him.
Yeah, I'm not over the moon about Beterbiev. Like, I watch his fights, but I think he's very good technically and he can punch. So there's nothing like. But I'd say I just haven't fallen in love with watching him. Like, maybe it's because of the opposition, but he's only had 14 fights as well. So it's about time. I think he's started mixing it now, like Andy said, at the top level. So we see what he's really about. Potential Kovalev fight, potential Bivol fight. Let's see him. Like, we don't, you know what I mean? It's like potential Anthony Yard fight. We won't even need sparring for that one. Like, so, yeah. But I'm wondering if Emily comes on the chat or comes on the panel, will she sound like Brian King?
I don't know. We're waiting to hear back from her here. She's in the chat. She has expressed her interest, Rob, in joining the call. So hopefully we'll get Emily on tonight.
All right, Brian. We'll talk to you in a minute, dude.
The skeptics are out, Emily. Come on, prove them wrong. They don't think that you're of the feminine variety. Prove them wrong, Emily. Prove them wrong.
See if it isn't a female. That is the most elaborate catfish display I've ever seen by the first one to drop a comment on the YouTube chat for how long now? How many years?
And still has the Spencer X.
It still has a Spencer X thing. And then when you go to message her, apparently when people go to message her and stuff like that, all forms of communication are basically no there. So
yeah, Area 51.
Yeah, something's up. Especially all these Twitter accounts getting iced recently as well. Me smell shite.
There you go. Emily slipped back into the Bermuda Triangle. She disappeared off the chat there, but we shall see. You never know. We shall see. Talking to people who it's hard to pin down, Gabe Lewis, you're en route somewhere. Did you manage to see anything of the ESPN card last night? And Koyas and Beterbiev, Gabe?
Yeah, I did see Beterbiev. And what was who else was on there? Jesus, who was it? It was
Koyas against Funai, Gabe?
No, before that one.
Gabriel Flores.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, they sound like a bunch of fucking cheerleaders, man. It was ridiculous. Did you see the ESPN feed or?
Yeah, but I didn't see that fight. I only saw the 2 world title fights.
Oh Jesus, it was. I didn't see the Nkaz fight, but ESPN sounded terrible. I mean, they literally sound like a bunch of fucking 12-year-old girls. I don't know. I mean, it was a good knockout, I guess, but fucking A, they were sucking his dick the whole time. Terrible shit. But then the Beterbiev fight, I mean, what did you expect to happen? I thought it was, I mean, he finished it like he should have. I didn't see anything to get excited about. He still looks wild. He still doesn't look real sound. He still looks like somebody's going to chin him and knock him the fuck out. So there's that. I mean, that's, and it's not to sound bad about the guy. I mean, I don't think he's a bad person. Fuck, I don't even know him, But as far as watching him fight, it's just kind of like, well, I mean, you know what to expect for the most part. And he's going to fight the way that he does, and it's not going to change because nobody's done anything to make him change yet. But I feel like sooner or later, somebody's going to chin his ass, and we'll find out what's what then, because I don't really think he's going to be much of a guy that really adapts whenever whenever things go wrong. But I mean, look at his age. You know, at this point, to be fighting like he does, I don't see how you could viably put him in with a top-notch guy and expect him to come out unscathed in some shape, form, or fashion. I mean, he can go in and he could beat some really good fighters, but it wouldn't be a shock to me if when he does step up, he just gets sent right back down by, you know, the best guys in the division because of how, I don't know, technically unsound he looks sometimes, and because he seems to really just rely on being a solid puncher. So I'm not enamored with the guy. I mean, I'll watch his fights. I think I've seen quite a few of his fights, going back and looking through YouTube and some other stuff. But I mean, I don't see much to get excited about. Maybe get some highlight reel knockouts from him facing some lower level opposition, and a guy like last night who really couldn't stand up to the punches and who really didn't have much of an answer in terms of defending against it or keeping him back. You know, I think that's another thing. If he fights somebody that can kind of stick him a little bit and then move, you know, I think that's going to be something that gives him trouble. You know, lots of good footwork, a decent sized ring. I can see somebody just boxing his ears off too. So I don't know. I mean, it was like I said, it was looked like a rough night. So not for him, for his opponent. So he did what he was supposed to. So hard to say too much bad things about him. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, you kind of see where he shakes out.
Indeed, Gabe, that is all the action from the weekend that I have clocked. Andy, you usually see these cards that I might have missed. Was there anything? What about Mike Perez against Maccabi? Just come into my mind, actually. Did that even go ahead?
No, John McDonald for Box Monthly messaged me saying that it's been pushed back to June. I don't know what reason it was. Trying to think what else I saw last night. Actually, I watched that Belgian card. I found the official YouTube channel for it. That Ryder Mera, who won the cruiserweight prospects.
Yes.
He had a 3-round knockout against I wouldn't even say he was a boxer. Actually, one of the Argentinians. So you just don't know what kind of shit you're dealing with there. He basically anybody at B level at cruiserweight has dealt with that guy handedly. So at least he did dealt with that. The other thing I dealt with is. The other thing I'd seen, but I didn't actually see the actual fight. Ali Funeka, remember him?
Oh, the South African who beat Joan Guzman.
Aye, he was fighting last night against one of the German prospects, Abes Barua, 5-0. He got stopped in 5 rounds. Anthony Yegget won last night as well. And I don't know if you remember the big Danish heavyweight. It was on the Saudi Arabia card in the WBSS. Kim Lundqvist, he had a 8-round decision victory last night as well in Germany, and Leon Boone, 9-round knockout.
Oh, against Leon Harth.
Leon Harth, aye. So it was one of the IBF title fights and that. So I dare say Boone will now be somewhere ranked top, I would say probably top 10 at 175.
One thing you might be interested in, Andy, next Friday night over in Bolivia, friend of the pod, Saul. Well, I'll tell you what, he's listed as the top of the bill, and he's also listed as the matchmaker. So he's picked his own fight, and he's no messing about from Saul, who is 69 wins, 23 losses, and 3 draws. So a very experienced fighter, Saul. He's picked for himself Caesar Mamani. No wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw. So he's given himself an easy one there.
Yep, and his 6 losses, mate, are by 6 knockouts.
Oh, my God.
And by the way, this is a rematch from March. In fact, no, wait a minute. Sorry, excuse me. This is their 4th fight together. So they basically fought the first time in 2017. Ferrara retired in the 5th round. Ferrara then beat him in August 2018, knocked him out in the 3rd round. It's actually even got a video here of the fight and all that sort of stuff, and official weigh-in pictures and that. Very, very glossy. Then they met again in March this year, and the guy retired again. So Saul Farah's got 3 stoppage victories over this dude. So yeah, it's a fight we're all wanting to see, and hopefully DAZN pick it up.
Andy, this is dodgy as hell because if you look at his other four fights, the only fight that he's had any sort of success is a split draw against a debutant. But he's had 3 fights apart from the Farah fights, all against this Esteban Hillman Tababari, who I noticed is also on the card on Friday night, fighting against another guy who he's also fought 3 times. So they're just building these records up to go over to Europe, basically.
Oh, what mate? I mean, I've I remember reading one of Ryan Scalia's articles. It was on Argentinian boxing, and what happened was, see, box rec. Sometimes the Yanks go by I think called fight facts rather than box rec because I think you go to. I forget why the reason they do it, but anyway, they'd actually found out that this Argentinian fighter was his record just wasn't so much as fudged, but it wasn't the guy who was proclaiming to be. Basically, as he dug up this fucking record of a boxer who died 5 years ago, picked up his identity, was fighting under his fucking name. Oh, it's incredible. I was like, what the fuck? So so you can see that type of shit certainly happens. So keep your eyes out in Sol Far, maybe pop her up as maybe kind of like Ferrara Soul Maker or something like that. You never know.
Oh my god, there you go. Then literally in action, everybody. They're building the records by just fighting each other and they're getting wins against this debutant. So they're coming in to the bigger fights, quote unquote, with a win in, off the back of a win. It's dodgy as hell. There you go. We need to get the WBA involved. They're missing out on some sanctioning free action here.
I'm Floyd Mayweather. I'm undefeated and I want the next big fight I have to be with Canelo. Give it to me. I'm Floyd.
All right, Gabe, thanks very much, Gabe. Mate, Gabe's shouting at the McDonald's guy through the window there. Ozzy's joined us. Welcome to you, Ozzy. John Doe threw in the chat a few minutes ago. Can you bring up all the bot accounts on the Canelo videos saying DAZN is such a great deal? They were literally copy and pasted comments in their hundreds. Well, we know all about this, don't we? This has been done before. Under Conor Ben, there was all these different accounts saying exactly the same thing, word for word, out for my dad's birthday, I think it was. Can't wait to get back and watch the Conor Ben fight. Brian King bought about 7 of them up all in a row under different names. We know they do this all the time. We need to get some Boxing Asylum bots maybe on the case. Ozzy, forget about all that type of stuff. We spoke to John Ryder at the top of the show. Thanks for putting him in touch with us. Also, Canelo against Jacobs. That was the big fight from the weekend, Ozzy. How did you score it? Do you think it was a fair result? And where do both guys go from here?
I scored it 116-112. I felt it was a more than fair result. Jacobs started slow and it ultimately cost him in the fight. However, I was very impressed with Canelo. I thought the way he evaded punches was excellent. And I mean, I'm seeing people, like the DAZN and, from the Matchroom side, a rematch is warranted, in my opinion, not interested. And from that perspective, I certainly don't think Jacobs is done at the top level. However, when he's fought Gennady Golovkin and Canelo, he's fallen short. For Canelo now, it's interesting really because apparently a third Golovkin fight is done for later in the year. However, I'll only see that when it happens. And from that perspective, I'm seeing people like, always interested to come to the UK and fight Callum Smith in the UK. Callum Smith needs to sell out the Echo Arena before he even talks about Wembley in that perspective. But Canelo lives on to be one of the biggest names in boxing. A legit victory. I have no qualms about the result last night. I thought it was more than fair. I think we all said on the pod last weekend a 116-112 was a card that we'd get. I think we got a 116-112, and there was a 115-113 as well. So, in my opinion, more than fair. And Canelo will go on. Who against? I'm not sure. For Jacobs, I don't know really. It's interesting. I mean, they did mention about Eddie Hearn was saying about Demetrius Andrade will beat Canelo. In my opinion, I wouldn't mind. Well, why not match Jacobs and Andrade for that fight? Why not? Unless they're just literally, like they're feeding people to Canelo or something like that from a fight perspective. But otherwise, I'd happily see Jacobs and Andrade or something like that. Otherwise, for Canelo, I mean, they're talking about essentially to fight Callum Smith, it will be going up in weight. I'd still like to see the Billy Joe Saunders fight. I think Billy Joe certainly has different questions and things like that. But I don't know, but I don't know who we're going to see Canelo against. Likewise, I don't know who we'll see Jacobs against.
What type of questions would Saunders be asking Canelo? That's the thing, isn't it? Where'd you get your gear from? People are trying to guess where Ozzy is. A few people, Ozzy, have said that you may be in a washing machine, locked in Joe Gallagher's basement, Adam Smith's cellar. What else have they said here? Ozzy in the gimp box. There you go, in the shower. Where you was?
Oh, me a bit echo here. Well, I'm currently at Chorley Cricket Club. We've just had a double-header T20. So I've just come into one of the back rooms, so it might be why I'm a bit echoey, but I've just moved, so it shouldn't be as bad now. But we've got a live band on, so I'm trying to keep out the way before all the music takes over.
John Doe says that's not Ozzy, it's a matchroom bot.
I'm definitely not a fucking matchroom bot.
Ozzy 43657.
Not one of those. That's for fucking cool.
There you go, everybody.
Next
Dedication.
thing somebody will be calling me a Dave Allen cheerleader or a Rhinoette or something like that. So, like I said, I may have had a few Stellas, but I'm definitely not any of those fucking things.
Put that down for the timestamp there. Ozzy's mentioned Dave Allen. I got that for the timestamp.
Someone abused me in the comments, actually, saying I need to stop wasting time on Dave Allen, which, to be fair, I completely agree with that. When I just get infuriated when I see people praise him for like the wrong reasons and stuff like that. So I saw someone praising him because he didn't have designer joggers on during the week. I'm thinking, fuck me. Like, what sort of a comment is that? Praising him because he doesn't have like Armani joggers on or something. Jesus Christ. That mate, you want to lick his arse next time if you're praising him for the fucking clothes he wears.
Ozzy, just in case we lose you, but thanks for coming on. We do appreciate it. Yeah. There's a show next Friday night in Nottingham Arena. Next Gen, Jordan Gill, Lee Wood, Terry Harper. Any value on
that? Lee Wood's got Ryan Doyle, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Again, I'll happily all aboard the Ryan Doyle train. Jordan Gill was just a bit too cute for him. However, we saw Ryan Doyle against Reece Bellotti, and Doyle was more than capable. Doyle's had good notice for this as well, and he's enjoying his boxing at the moment. There's no shame in losing to Jordan Gill. He's clearly a talented fighter. So I'll happily take that. I've no doubt that Doyle is Lee Wood's biggest test, and in my opinion, it's a more than winnable fight without a doubt. Jordan Gill, I've been a bit disappointed, to be honest, since he beat Ryan Doyle. He's taken. I mean, he fought a bit of an unknown foreigner last time, and again, this opponent's a bit underwhelming. I think he's mandatory for the British title now against Ryan Walsh. That's a great fight. That is a really good fight, and one that I really hope is made, because that's tremendous. That's a genuine 50-50. Ryan Walsh is more than proven at British level. To be honest, he's a more than capable European level fighter as well, and Gill has got all the skills to be, pushing towards the top level. Terry Harper, she has bags of talent, but I don't know anything about female boxing. There's just, the opponents are plucked from obscurity. I mean, we've seen the people like Shannon Courtney's been in. It's like they've just been pulled from a local boozer in like Nottingham or something like that. You don't know where they're pulled from. But no, it's what we're seeing now, though, is more that these next gen shows that should have been once, twice a year are more becoming, I know it's on a Friday, but becoming the main Sky shows. And it's a bit disappointing from that perspective. However, Wood Doyle are certainly a fight to tune into, and I'll be looking forward to seeing the bookies' odds on that, because if Doyle's certainly over even money, I'll definitely be taking him at that price, because we've seen Ryan Doyle prove the upset once. There's no reason why he can't do it again.
Ozzy, stick with us for as long as you can. Thanks for making the effort, taking the effort to join us. Episode 321 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast, everybody. Ozzy's there. Also, Rapping Rob Kelly's on with us as well. So is Andy Patterson. Gabe's away. He said he's got to go and take care of a bit of business. So any ideas in the chat what that might be, let me know. Take care of a bit of business, says Gabe. He might be back later. Who knows? Maybe have to clean things up first. A few questions as well coming in. We'll get to them. And a show next weekend, May the 11th, over in the Convention Centre in Tucson, Arizona. Francisco Vargas against Mr. Miguel Berchelt. Since their last fought in 2017, Berchelt has beaten Takashi Miura on points, knocked out the hapless Maxwell Awuku, knocked out the ridiculous Jonathan Victor Barros, and then he knocked out in a fun fight the shop-worn Miguel Roman. Now he's fighting against Vargas. Why do I feel underwhelmed by this, Andy? It feels like Groundhog Day, as if Berchelt's just ticking along at the moment. I want to see him in bigger fights, and I get the feeling like Vargas is finished. Am I being harsh with this one?
No, I agree with you, mate. I mean, he kind of felt that after the last fight. Actually, I mean, there was cuts and blood and crazy. I mean, there was like headbutts and everything in the last fight. It was a really good fight. I mean, we've got to admit that, but it's just one of these fights. I know what you mean. It's just like it's like a filler fight, isn't it? It's just like something, you know. It's just what it is. It's a filler fight, really, because he's come back. I remember, did you know have Stephen Smith's ear hanging off as well, Vargas, in the
Yes,
last
he did.
fight?
Yes.
And then he beat who was that guy that Garcia absolutely obliterated with a left hook, punched him in the neck. Remember, almost took his head off.
Oh, you're talking
Salka.
about
Pistol
Rod Salka. Yeah.
Rod Salka. So that's just been his level of position. He must be well into his 30s now. So you say Berchelt as well, as he's just kind of meandering along. Probably again, I mean, I can understand him having to have kind of semi-easy fights after, like, obviously the Vargas fight, as I say, is bloody messy, and then you had the tough war against Takahashi Miura. But you say, he's had the kind of gimme fights, the kind of tick over fights and that over the course of the last year. So this doesn't kind of bode well for the year going in and stuff like that. But Top Rank, to be honest, this year have been pretty poor. Okay, the match of fighters when they have to and stuff, but they get them the right fights at the right time, getting the PEDs, I suppose, at the right time as well. But this isn't float my boat. I'm agreeing with you. It's no hating on the fight. I dare say it might turn into something decent, but that purely depends on what Vargas has got left, surely. And I don't think at this point he has got much left. So I know he's done enough to kind of maintain his status as a top contender. But if you go through the rankings, I think Roman's still ranked in the top 10, which is diabolical. Jason Souza still in there, I believe, is also. So, it's another fighter I suppose as well you want to see getting a move on, because there's good fights to be made there. Davis, Farmer. I don't know.
Maybe they'll probably look to unify with the Japanese guy, won't they? Aito, the dub, because he's also signed by Top Rank.
I was just going to say that because I was looking at Farmer and Davis, and I'm sitting myself there with fucking.
Yeah.
It's a political. Again, it's like going back to the day when PBC started up and that. You were thinking about you want fights to get made, but you have to think about the political aspect. Who was with who was with promoting that, and that's what you have to do this time, but 3 times over. I don't know, man. Remember that his name Andrew Sinso?
Andrew Cancio. Well, he upset what he called in Machado. I think they're fighting a rematch, but I think Machado's been pretty much found out now, because you're not going to toughen up your body that much. Cancio hammered him.
He did. He destroyed them. What I was going to say is, my next question was going to be, who's he with? Promotional wise, could that fight get made?
I don't know if Cancio has now been signed by Golden Boy or whatever, but he was he's the type of guy who they probably could have picked up. Yeah.
Well, Golden Boy not going to do any fucking favour for Top Rank and that to try and get Berchelt's leg over, I suppose. But I just pulled up the WBC rankings there for super featherweight. Right, you've got Francisco Vargas, Enejado Hernandez, Jojo Diaz, Miguel Roman, Jason Souza, Thomas Rojas, for Christ's sake, Johnny Gonzalez is still in the top 10.
My God, really?
I'm telling you, he's not ranked number 9 actually. Johnny Gonzalez, he must have like 70 fights. I think he fought recently there as well. Oh my God, that's the WBC rankings for you.
I like Dogbo as well, Andy. Do you think we didn't expect him to lose to Navarrete? That was a bit of an upset. By all accounts, Dogbo seemed to be on the upward trajectory. Navarrete did a good boxing job on him. If Dogbo's learned his lessons, you'd imagine that he'd probably get the win. But maybe we were sleeping on Navarrete, who's decent.
Yeah, I think I was definitely on the Dogbo train. Still am, but you say unless he drastically changes up, what he was doing compared to the first fight in that. That's a tough one. I know it was closest on the cards and stuff, but I thought Navarrete was more than a worthy winner. He looked heavier in the exchanges and that as well. Gave Dogbo he could handle, and I just thought Dogbo was struggling at times with that. So he can remain competitive throughout the fight. Unless he changes things up, I could probably see the same result here. Actually, maybe another close points victory.
Rob, word from you on these ones. Navarrete Dogbo rematch and also Vargas Bichelt. Bichelt's had his injury problems, but he needs to go on past these opponents now.
Yeah, Vargas will hang in there. We know. I think there might be too many miles on the clock there. He's taken a lot of punishment and been in a lot of hard fights. So, in terms of Navarrete, I think he outfought him in the spots that he had to outfight him in, and then boxed him for the rest of the fight. So, it's like if Dogbo's able to make him do something different, maybe. But it just looked like, even in the exchanges last time, maybe Navarrete had his number. So I'd maybe say he wins this clearer this time. But Burchell, get out of here. Like, I'm not. He's dog shit. Like, he's not an elite world champion by any means. Like, there's other fights that could get made there. Just a word on Tevin Farmer. How active is he? Like, he's getting ready for another fight, isn't he? I think he has his next fight made. So,
good luck to him. I like Tevin. I like him.
Therefore, he's come back from getting shot in the hand to winning a world title. Contagious decision against him in the first place. Then the decision gets overturned to no contest, and since then he's just been on this winning streak where he's out every 2 or 3 months, clocking up the numbers. So good on him.
Yep, good on him. We've lost Ozzy, but we've gained Gabe, so a good exchange there. I was going to ask Ozzy actually about the Steve Wood show. I'll just mention it anyway, but we'll not talk about it. Reece Cartwright, English title against Jack Cullen, Jack Flatley against Craig Morris, and also former guest, super welterweight 10-0 James Moorcroft is in action, so good luck. That's a Steve Wood show. Steve comes on the pod from time to time, always good luck with those type of things. I'm not here next week, actually, so we're going to have a guest host. I'm not really sure who it's going to be, to be honest. Maybe I think the Americans are going to jump in. Dave and Gabe, double combination to hit you with next Sunday evening on May the 12th. So there you go. Something to look forward to. Before we go on to the heavyweights, Andy, let's talk about the main card for next week. I think in Virginia, Jarrett Hurd, we mentioned it earlier, the chat were getting pumped up. IBF titles on the line, IBO as well, which I'm always happy about. WBA super welterweight title. Put that bullshit to one side. 23-0 Jarrett Hurd going in against Julian J. Rock Williams, 26-1-1. His big fight to date, Andy, Williams, was against Charlo, and he got knocked out. He doesn't look as small, unless he was wearing high heels at the press conference, than I thought he would against Hurd. But you're going to struggle against a guy like that, Andy. He's a monster, isn't he, Hurd? He just keeps rumbling forward. He's so tall. He's so physically strong for the weight. Williams, I think, will give a good account of himself, but he's going to struggle with Hurd's physical advantages.
Yeah, I believe so, mate. I think it will be a good fight. Julian Williams does, he does come to fight, but maybe slightly kind of vulnerable around about the whiskers and that. I think he probably have success early doors in the fight. Again, it depends how Hurd is after surgery and stuff. Obviously, didn't look great in the early openings against Wellborn, and then decided just to get serious with him and stop the fight. But maybe different this time round about, actually, because Williams he's a decent operator, but as you say, I think Hurd, considering I think he's got something like 5 inches in reach and probably 4 inches in height on the guy, and that I think once he gets into the 4th and 5th, gets a full head up of speed and that, he'll just start kind of laying it on Williams and that. But we said it before as well, two issues that I've got really is, one is how long can he keep making the weight, and two really is, considering his style of fighting and stuff, it doesn't really matter if he's fighting smaller guys and that, but the way he fights and the punishment he takes and that, I really do expect his prime to be very, very short-lived. So again, I don't know what he's going to be doing after his fight and that, but I like to see him kind of test himself up at middleweight, because I think we're going to need some sort of challengers and that as well, especially as Rob says at the start of the show, and that he doesn't really see anybody kind of like beating Canelo at this point and that. But so you want to see fresh faces coming in, and Hurd, considering his size advantages, that might just give Canelo more what he can handle. But at this point in time, it's a really good fight at this point. So yeah, I think he'll probably stop him. I'm going to go for around the 10th or 11th round for Jarrett Hurd.
Gabe, the Jamal Charlo-Julian Williams fight was way back in 2016. He hasn't been super active, Williams, since then. He's wheeled off 4 wins against lacklustre opposition, really. Nathaniel Gallimore was decent, but not great. Ishe Smith, a wearied, weathered veteran by this point. Will this fight tell us a lot about Williams going forward, Gabe? Whether he's going to be able to step up to elite level, or whether he's just going to be a contender?
I don't think so. I think Pardon me. Sorry, I had to go on a little coughing spell there. I don't think it's going to tell us anything because I think we already kind of have a feel for who Julian Williams is. He's a solid contender. He's a guy that can possibly win a title, depending on, several circumstances. Right opponent, right belt coming open at the right time. Several things like that. He's a solid fighter, but he's not in a category like the top names of the division. And I think, at least to me, that seems like it's been pretty clear for a little while now. There's still opportunities for him to kind of change things up and turn things around and to prove himself to be that level. But I just don't really feel like at this stage, considering his age, how many fights he's had and all those kind of things, that he's really going to do a whole lot to surprise anyone. So I feel like from this point, we already kind of know who he is. We know what he's about. We know what he's proven himself capable of in the past. And I feel like the ceiling's already been hit. Of course, there is, like I said, that small chance that he could rise above what we've seen him do. He could prove himself worthy of being a top name in the division. As of now, though, he's a guy that's going to give your top-notch guys possibly a tough evening. He's going to be a solid guy that will tell you anybody that's coming up where they stand. And he's going to, in general, provide a decent value undercard slot on a set of fights. So to me, I feel like it's already there. We kind of know what to expect from him. We kind of know what he's going to do. We kind of have seen him before. And then we've seen people like him in the past. So to me, I think he's where he's going to be, and that's as far as it's going to go.
Oh man, the chat. Gabe, the chat were positing as to why you were out of breath there. Dave Trick says Gabe is knuckle deep on a ranch hand right now.
No, I'm trying not to cough my fucking ass.
Knuckle deep on a ranch hand. Friggin' hell, there you go.
That's another one for the timestamp.
That was actually pretty good, but no, I have a pretty good sinus infection. I can't fucking breathe, and anytime I do breathe, I feel like I'm gonna cough up a fucking lungs. So despite that actually well placed, well thought out theory, no, I'm actually not.
Right well, Turbo Tommy Rob says 1 hour 29 minutes in. Gabe is 5 inches deep in a Yankee Candle.
This is it. I mean, the timestamps are writing themselves this evening, guys. You're going to know what to look for on Monday morning. Fucking hell.
Rob, this fight, as Andy has just reminded me, is actually on ITV, so we'll be able to see it. Jarrett Hurd, Julian Williams.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I think Hurd should probably get to Williams before 8 rounds and stop him after catching him with some thudding shots. I do think Hurd would present something new at middleweight because it's only a matter of time before he moves up. But I think Canelo would beat Jarrett Hurd like a heavy bag. I really do. Like from what I've seen of him so far, I know he's good, but I just think Canelo is not a small middleweight by any stretch, and I don't see the size being as big a factor. And I think, as much as cliched as I hate, every commentator says about Andre Ward or Floyd Mayweather, they say he downloads, Lomachenko's the new one, he downloads the data, he scans the opposition as if he's the fucking Terminator or something. The old-fashioned way is to say he had a look, and I think Canelo has a look at people for a couple of rounds and then figures them out. He doesn't get enough credit for downloading the data. Sidebar. Sorry, Steve.
That's all right.
Timestamp that one.
Timestamp that one, everybody. They'll want to be going to that type of analysis from Rob. Rob's right, though. Yeah, the guys, they have a look, don't they? The best fighters in the first couple of rounds, see where you're moving, where your head's going, where your feet are doing, what you do after you throw a punch, and then they adjust accordingly. It's a fancy way, as Rob says, of just saying that, downloading the data and digitizing it, bringing it up to date, I suppose. Anyway, Andy, enough of all that nonsense. Wouldn't be a week without a bit of AJ talk. Let's hit you with a question from Greg Cross before we move on to Bellew of the Week. Greg Cross, Mr. Boxing Casual, Andy said, with Shelley Finkel's recent comments of, we have plans, Joshua next year, and Wilder, I don't want to disrupt our plans, Ortiz rematch, and then Adam Kovnacki, is Wilder ducking, says Greg Cross. Does Al Heyman have a master plan? What the fuck's going on, Andy, with the heavyweight situation?
Greg Cross is a AJ fan, so I'm not going to bother answering his question. The end of the fucking day is this. Yes, I remember this guy. He's constantly fucking defending Femi for... Even back when Femi initially ducked Wilder the fucking first time.
And he's downloading the data.
Exactly. So, now it's fucking reversed. Now they're all like, let's fucking pile in on fucking Wilder and that. End of the fucking day. They've all ducked each other, right? Fury's ducked the fucking Wilder rematch, you could potentially say. Right? He didn't want to get underpaid for the Joshua rematch because Eddie Hearn had initially said it was fucking 50-50. Joshua is fighting fucking a guy who basically trains on fucking cheeseburgers, right? Doesn't he know what steroids is? Doesn't he know what diuretics are, right? Right, so who gives a fuck about who's ducking who and who's... Right, end of the day, the heavyweight division is out of order. Nobody gives a fuck about it unless Joshua's fighting Fury or Joshua's fighting Wilder or Wilder's fighting Fury or Fury's fighting fucking Joshua. Nobody fucking cares about it. So guess what? I don't give a fuck about who is ducking who at this fucking point because I don't care about it because you are a Joshua fan, right? I don't like speaking to you. He's a fucking pain in the hole. You've waited all this fucking time. You've waited fucking 12 months to get your chance to come back and say, oh, he's fucking ducking. End of the fucking day, your guy has ducked. Rob just fucking pushed himself here. Your guy has fucking fed the right people.
Reminds me so much of the classic Bellew interview about the carrot and the fart.
With the fucking carrot.
Greg Cross is using me, Andy, as a medium to get to you.
Well, Greg Cross kens me on fucking Twitter and he can fucking message me anytime. The thing is, I didn't like talking to him, as I said, because he's constantly on the fucking Femi defence, constantly. And even when he was fucking proven to fucking be fucking, ducking that $50 million that didn't exist, right? So he's another one who fucking hangs on to Eddie Hearn's words, right? Okay, listen to the fucking podcast. I really don't give a fuck about the heavyweight division. I've got a couple of fighters who are prospects I'm keeping my eye on coming up. Unless I get the three big guys fighting each other, guess what? I don't give a fuck about who's ducking who and who's fucking getting more money, who's fucking promoter you fancy the best, and which one you want to shag the fucking best as well. I don't fucking care.
There you go, Greg. There's your answer. Rob, quick word from you. Just bring you in, though, off the back of a Joseph Ajayo, THD, PhD comment. Joseph says, the boxing boards of control are not representing boxing and boxers' interests. They are money mongers who does not care if boxers die in the ring or not. If Jarrell Miller was not busted, he would have celebrated his victory. Not over Anthony Joshua. God forbids.
Well, I hate to say it, but Dr. Joseph Ajayo may have a point. I think Andy Lee made a good point on Off the Brawl when he was talking about promoters having to take more responsibility for this shit, because the sanctioning bodies are not going to do it. They're losing out on too much money. So the promoters can all get up on the moral high ground and say, oh, this fighter's got busted, my poor guy, but you're representing a stable full of guys who got busted. So if you're really anti-doping, don't promote the guy anymore. Drop him. Put it in his contract that if he gets caught doping and it's a serious offence, he's out. If you're really serious about it, and if all the promoters did that, then that might take a little bit of a step forward towards eradicating it. Like, so Dr. Joseph Ajayo is onto something.
That's why he's got a THD, PhD, everybody. Gabe, anything from you to add to this heavyweight situation? Heavyweight opinions from the Texas Tornado. Come on.
No, I'm about the same as Andy. I mean, I really don't give a fuck unless we see the top guys fighting the top guys. To me, there's no point in anything else happening. I already went on my rant last week whenever we were discussing, I don't remember who it was we were discussing, but how the sanctioning bodies are fucking responsible for all kinds of bullshit. In terms of, well-deserving guys not getting their shots and fucking bums getting their shots. And, I've already made my thoughts known about all that bullshit. But in terms of directly responding to that question, fuck the heavyweight division right now. They're all gonna play tiddlywinks and fucking jerk everyone off, then they can go do it somewhere else because I ain't fucking playing that game. You know, I don't want any part of it. I'm just simply not going to be concerned with anything until they make the fights that need to be made. I mean, that's kind of a shitty attitude to have about it, you know, considering some of the stuff that we see going on, not just in that division, but in all divisions across the fucking board. Really, you want to know why a guy like Andy, who's a knowledgeable, you know, boxing fan, is a big fan of the Japanese scene. Why he kind of, you know, at his discussions kind of got me interested into some of those guys. Why some people prefer certain scenes over others is because of the exact thing we're talking about. You know, you look over there at the Japanese scene and they're fighting, you know, top caliber fighters early on in their careers, taking losses, not giving a fuck. You see these guys out there really, you know, putting their balls on the line to have big fights. In the past, you know, you may have heard me be a anti-Canelo fan. I mean, not anymore. What else do you need from the guy? He's last few years, I think Rob already brought it up, since what Gomez, he's fought nothing but top rated guys. I mean, consistently across the board. I mean, how the fuck do you get any better than that? You know, you put your balls on the line out there, and that's what fighters used to do. And I think that's what a lot of us miss about the, you know, without going too retro and talking about the old days bullshit. You know, what happened to the guys that put their balls on the line and just fucking went for it? You know, if you are that fucking confident in what you do, go put it on the line. Take a pay cut. You know, I'm not saying take $500,000 whenever you're worth $12 million, but take a fucking pay cut. Go make the fight happen. Win your fucking belts, and then go fucking defend them and make, you know, double that every fight you have after that. You know, I mean, there's a possibility for everyone to make their money and keep more money rolling in. But the reason that fucking we're in the state that we're in now, and it all goes back to fucking years ago, was because they quit doing that shit, you know? And then it kind of got a little bit better. Now it's kind of falling off the fucking map with the 27 different goddamn streaming platforms and the 37 different goddamn TV channels, and you can't keep up with shit anymore. You know, it drives a man crazy trying to watch every fucking fight and every card that comes on sometimes. So, you know, my thoughts on it are, if they're not giving me what I want to see, then I'm going to fucking tune in to somebody else. And for me, I've always been a fan of the lower weight classes. I said it 1.5 million times. Victor Chin is one of my favorite fighters. I mean, I love watching that son of a bitch fight when he was primed up. You know, I've always been a fan of those lower weight classes. And the reason I watch them is because maybe there's not a lot of stiff competition stacked in the division. But those guys are fucking fighting, and they're fun to watch. And now we got to sit up here with the heavyweights. These guys are supposed to be the kings of the fucking world, and they're fighting trash fights in the meantime, you know, taking 2, 3, 4, 5 fights before they fucking fight somebody meaningful, you know. And I know part of that's been in the past that there hasn't been a stacked division, but there's no reason right now for these guys not to be facing each other. So I'm right there with Andy. Fuck those guys. I mean, I'll find something else to watch that's much more entertaining than that. And it's baseball season.
Well said, Gabe. Don't bring that shit to my door, he says. 100% getting on board with that sentiment. Question for the end of the show. We're going to be wrapping up soon, going on to Value of the Weeks. Chat Staple, Editing King, I haven't seen him tonight actually, threw in a question about the worst world champion in boxing at the moment. So we'll hit that at the end of the show. The worst world champion, if you're in the chat or on the panel or anybody, have a good think about that. We might go through the divisions, depending on how much time we've got, and rat some people out. But there you go, worst world champion. We'll get onto that at the end of the show. If anybody has any Value of the Weeks in the chat or on the panel, then throw them in at some point. I will invite you in. Let's get started off, first of all, this week with one from Boxing Brave. Dave Allen, in fact, was talking to IFL TV. I'm 2 wins away from Anthony Joshua. This is David Price, sorry. David Price was talking about the Dave Allen clash and the shocking Jarrell Miller scandal. And Dave Price said, I'm 2 wins away from Anthony Joshua. So there you go. Dominic Henry, Value of the Week nomination for Spencer X, who has declared, shock horror, that Anthony Yard stops Kovalev. So there you go. That's Spencer X. But this is going to be a good one. Zeconomics has nominated Adam Smith for simpering along with Barry Hearn's racist end of the pier comedy act like a cowardly little weasel for Bellew of the Week. Awkward position for Dillian White, but Smith is basically Hearn's boss, the shite bag that he is. I would agree, Zico, but you couldn't really see Adam Smith starting to call Barry Hearn out at the top table, although that would have been funny, wouldn't it? Yeah, Barry Hearn no doubt will appear during this Bellew of the Week segment at some point. White versus Rivas is a pay-per-view, says Chris Andre. Don't worry, Barry, you'll get your wish. I won't be watching. And then Paul Warren's jumped in. This is below a Barry Hearn comment thread. It's beyond me that people don't get. You get a full card of about 8 fights for pay-per-view, not just one. I remember people moaning about the White Parker being pay-per-view, but it turned out to be one of the best pay-per-view nights we've had for a long time in the UK. So there you go. Ian Morton has nominated Paul Warren. Lead right, path to 4-weight world champion. Hashtag dream it, believe it, come it. What is Lead Right talking about? Well, he's talking about Dave Allen. Danny Robson nominated this one. Apparently, people were putting on bets about Dave Allen becoming a 4-weight world champion. Lead Right said he could KO Price, he could beat Pulev, he could beat Wilder, then he could beat Joshua. I think he was trolling, wasn't he, surely, with that one? Marcus Bellinger has nominated Dillian White for ducking questions and getting completely the wrong end of the stick while being interviewed by Mike Costello on the BBC. Also, Matthew Pratt has nominated Dan Kerry, another one, Daniel Kerry, getting stuck in on this Dave Allen thing. He put in 100-1 for Dave Allen to hold all 4 world titles at once, WBA, WBC, WBO and IBF before the 1st of January 2021, 100-1 for Dave Allen to hold all 4 belts. Is this worth a 10 spot, says Dan Kerry. You might as well wipe your hole on that 10 spot, Dan, and flush it down the toilet. Moving on, everybody. NBT Boxing, Barry Hearn, nominated by Ben Thorns. Yeah, Barry Hearn. He's had a bit of a nightmare, Andy, this week, talking about slave masters and goodness knows what else at this press conference to announce the White Rivas fight. I think Barry has a couple of drops, doesn't he, and gets on the stage and just lets loose.
Yeah, I don't know what his particular tipple is, actually, but as Tyson Fury says in that, put the Stella down and get back in your box, because he's just basically undoing all the good work that Eddie Hearn. Well, good work that Eddie Hearn's done, I suppose. Look, I've seen people actually try and defend what he said and that. Okay, I really don't know where it sits at all, actually, but I just think choose your words a wee bit differently. It's a bit like along the. I remember some comment getting made about the NFL. Remember all the NFL players were like taking knees and that about the brutality of the police force against black people and stuff. And one of the NFL owners basically stepped up and said that we've got to get a grip on this, because we can't allow the inmates to take over the asylum, so to speak. So basically kind of like calling his own players basically fucking prisoners, basically. It's just he could have used his words slightly differently, I suppose. And that I suppose there wouldn't have been any if Dillian White had been white, obviously, then there wouldn't have been a matter said or anything with the fucking raise their eyebrow, because it's white privilege at the end of the day, But Dillian's for Jamaican background. He's a black man, so you can't be saying shit like that, man.
Nomination for Barry Hearn, then, on the back of that one. Stephen Lewis has been nominated by John Swan. Stephen Lewis got the wrong end of the stick when they were talking about Dave Allen against David Price and Dillian White against Oscar Rivas. He seemed to think, did Stephen Lewis, that White was actually fighting Price. So he did a little analysis on how the fight will play out. I really like Dillian White, but Price has been around the block. If he feels White's power early, he isn't just going to go in and have a slugfest. I think this may be slightly too early for White, but could completely end Price. I hope White does the business, though, says Stephen. No, White's fighting Rivas and Price is fighting Allen, Stephen, okay?
See, to be honest, I heard Bunce mention comments on this fight, actually. I was kind of semi-agreeing that it is a risk to a point, because, say he does get beat, he's fucking lost his mandatory position, I would think. Would they not?
He has, but shout out as well, Andy, to Men's Luxury Fitness, who often text me from time to time. He said people are moaning about Dillian White. He's made a lot of money, saying, why hasn't he got a world title fight yet? Why hasn't he got a world title fight? He's been waiting around for years. It's not supposed to be easy to get these shots, especially at the heavyweight world title. You maybe have to wait around a couple of years. It's the heavyweight world title.
Mate, years and decades and fucking yesteryear ago, mate, you waited and you bided your time, and you say you waited years to get your shot when there's only one title and one champion. And put it this way, if Dillian White had fought back in the 40s and 50s, he wasn't getting a fucking shot because he was black, period. Simple as that. But people will say is that he's more deserving of a shot. We've even agreed in this podcast that he's probably one of the more deserving heavyweight contenders. But This is boxing in the day. It's not a sport. It's a fucking business. What you think you deserve, you didn't get. You only get what you negotiate. At the end of the day, as well as you've got to look at your own promoter, and deep down, you've ducked eliminators. You could have had the pull-out fight. You could have become IBF mandatory. I think at this point, you've had the offer for Joshua. You've said it's been like slave money and stuff like that. Hence the reason why Barry Hearns came out with that comment, I suppose. But he's had opportunities, but he's decided to go his own route. I can't blame him for that. He's wanting to be independent. He's still getting paid, but it's still a risk at the same time as well. But I don't think he's. I think Rivas will bring it, but I just don't think he's got the size to really kind of cause quite much problems. But we'll wait and see.
We will indeed, yeah. Rivas, for his credit, he will bring it. He bought it against Bryant Jennings, but you're putting a guy on headlining pay-per-view most people hadn't even heard of. I'd just seen him on BoxRec before he fought Jennings and just saw that he was building up a nice record in Canada. Didn't know anything about him, but there you go. That's the nature of the beast. MB in the chat is asking me about Jonathan Banks. Well, we're coming to him shortly because he's on the Bellew of the Week list, MB, so we'll get to that, don't worry. Gavin Stevens has nominated Gervonta Davis. Davis is trying to downplay Lomachenko's achievements, as usual, as well he might. Lee has nominated Joe Joyce. I could have waited until the big fight night on July the 13th, but I just wanted to keep busy. I didn't want a journeyman, so we have chosen a 6'8" giant and former world title challenger Alexander Ustinov, who's only lost 3 times. He is big, awkward, and he can punch. Also, Andy, the funny thing about that is they brought up his manager, Sam Jones. I haven't got it screenshotted, but it just came to my memory about back when Bacoli or somebody was fighting Hunter was fighting Ustinov, and the manager of Joyce was shitting on it, saying he was a big useless lump.
Yeah, and then he's basically been forced to come out and say, "Oh, well, it's the best opponent we could get in short notice," and that. Well, don't take the fucking fight. Fight at a later date and get a better opponent. But you know how it is.
You know how it is, indeed. Gabe. Breaking news, Bellew of the Week coming in from you. You just sent me this one. Rancis Barthélemy on his Twitter has put rematch coming soon. This is the rematch we all want to see against Robert Easter, is it, Gabe? Bellew of the Week.
Well, actually, I nominated for Bellew of the Week because my comment on there to him was maybe you could, fight this time. As in, you didn't fucking fight last time. Maybe you'll do it this time. Maybe there's something in the air that you'll catch that will say, punches, I should throw. And he fucking liked it. So that was my Bellew of the Week because he liked the comment that was very tongue-in-cheek, I suppose. And anyone that watches that fight, if anyone listened to me to start with that thought that it might be a decent fight, you're a fucking idiot because I'm a fucking idiot. That was trash last time. And, I nominated it because he liked a fucking shitty comment from me. I don't think his grasp on English is too well.
Well, Gabe, funny you should mention that, actually, because I saw Rancis turn up on Facebook recently, mate, and it was his official account making a comment, and I clicked on the account, and he said that he's promoted by Warrior Boxing, but he'd actually misspelt it as warrior Boxing, as in being worried. So I'm sure there's plenty of concern over there every time he gets in the ring. So there you go. His grasp of English isn't the best. He's promoted by Warrior Boxing, according to him. So there you are, Gabe. A double nomination for Rancis.
Yes.
Thank you. Right, Oscar De La Hoya has also been nominated, talking about Anthony Joshua, trying to big up the Anthony Joshua-Andy Ruiz fight. He looks like a freaking goddess, said Oscar De La Hoya. He would know indeed. Maybe get AJ into the old fishnets. JS Park 10 has nominated Oscar for that one. This was a bizarre one. Rafe Bartholomew put it up during the week before the Canelo Jacobs fight. Jeff Mayweather, friend of mine, was interviewing somebody in the Floyd Mayweather gym called Lionel Thompson. Lionel Thompson's Canelo Jacobs prediction takes one hell of a left turn. Did anybody see this? All of a sudden, Thompson basically said that one of the biggest factors, I'm paraphrasing here, in the Canelo Jacobs fight could be Jacobs' cancer diagnosis. And he seemed to insinuate Jacobs could suddenly the cancer could return mid-round or something. he might not be as strong, or the bone density might give up midway during the fight. I'm sure he was doing a bad job of explaining himself, but it was funny.
The fighter.
I think so. Yeah.
You can that bum's actually got a loss to that fucking that Kalazgic could go beat up Beterbiev last night.
Oh, is that the same guy?
Fucking Kovalev knocked him out in 3 rounds.
Oh, right, there you go. Then, well, he was giving his prediction anyway, and he was trying to say that Jacob's illness might be an issue, but
He's got CTE, mate. COVID fucked him up. Fucking
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
it was bad form, but there you go anyway. Talking of this then, Rob, let's get your opinion on this actually. Declan Graffin has nominated Gennady Golovkin for saying, I would like to introduce my new coach, Jonathan Banks. I'm sure that our cooperation will lead to a good results in the near future. What's going on, Rob? Were you as surprised as I was?
Yeah, I was, definitely. I thought I would have liked to see Golovkin with Robert Garcia. I think his style and Garcia's coaching style would have gone well together, with the mix of technical stuff and come forward aggression. But Jonathan Banks says, like,
exactly, man. It's like,
Are they thinking that he's a little bit, or is he feeling himself like he needs to limit the damage? Like, he has to look good. I'm thinking if you're DAZN, you have to kind of recreate the aura of Triple G, the knockout artist. So you roll him in with Steve Rolls and some other bum before Canelo 3, to get some knockouts without taking any punishment or looking bad. So maybe from a technical point of view, Jonathan Banks is the king of the catch and shoot from the cronk. They're just trying to change his style a little bit. But I don't know. I was completely taken by surprise that Jonathan Banks was announced as Golovkin's trainer. I was not expecting that at all.
Andy, a few names were mentioned. Some people thought they might let his brother take a more significant role and keep it in the family. But MB said it's a cheap option.
No, but MB's comment about the cheap option about Jonathan Banks, I agree with. Mate, I was listening to Taylor Tape last week, and it was Vinnie Cummins that was mentioning it, and I agreed with him. I was actually going to mention it as well as, stick with the brother. I mean, because obviously the move was obviously to try, it's a big payday for Golovkin, right? So it's just a bit like Roach. Paco did with Roach. Make a few savings here and there, but I thought he went with his brother. I mean, to be honest, Jonathan Banks is only known as a trainer because, two fighters, Cecilia Brakus and Vladimir Klitschko, both of who were all champions at the time that they went to Jonathan Banks. So what the fuck is he going to teach them that they don't already know? They're already champions and experienced in their own right. So what the fuck's what's Golovkin going to learn off Jonathan Banks that he couldn't do off his brother? I mean, his brother's meant to be the better fighter of the two. The only reason he didn't turn pro was because I believe the older brother was killed, and he had to then step up and be like the man in the house.
Well, Andy, twisted around then. Okay, you've got experienced champions like Breakers, like Klitschko, now Golovkin have all chosen Jonathan Banks. There must be a reason they've chosen him. So what is it?
Does good pad work, maybe?
Behind the scenes, like you say, maybe he's a calm voice, influencing voice. Maybe Tom Loeffler, maybe Klitschko's spoken to Golovkin and put a good word in for him.
Yeah, possibly. Well, there you go. There's a K2 connection right there, isn't it? Because obviously you had, I think Brakus, as manager, is also Tom Loeffler. So it would make sense then, because again, it's a cheap option. It keeps Banks in the picture. But I personally don't think at this point in his career Golovkin needs a trainer. I mean, guys, think about the amateur fights he's had. He said, like, was it 300-400 amateur fights? It's close to 40 professional fights. What are you going to teach a guy at 34, 35 years of age? What are you going to teach him now? Nothing. So, no, it's just... I agree with Rob. It's a kind of type of appointment.
I wonder, though, as well, I mentioned it earlier in the tangent that I went off about Canelo. Golovkin didn't adjust in the second fight, and Sanchez's instructions that night weren't great, I don't think. He let Canelo steal the early part of the fight without really putting any urgency at the Golovkin. And if he was trying it, they weren't gelling. So maybe they're working on technical stuff with Banks. I don't know. He is supposed to be a good coach, but again, it's definitely wasn't. It's a curveball, but you can see the connection now played out. So probably a handy option for him. And like Andy said, what does he need? Some subtle adjustments maybe in the next. They're obviously building towards the Canelo fight with a strategy. So he doesn't need anything for Steve Rolls. That's for sure.
Steve Rolls on with the Bellew of the Weeks. Anyway, I know that much. They were saying in the chat about Abel Sanchez. Yeah, he trained Terry Norris back in the day. He has a fine body of work with Ryan Martin actually as well. Remember Ryan Martin's great performance against Josh Taylor. Yeah, Sanchez has been around for a long time. He was in the building and construction industry. I think he made a packet in that as well. So he's got plenty of money. He'll be all right.
He was fuming by me because he was doing interviews to anybody that would listen to him last week, and it was like 30 minutes here, then he got up to an hour special with fucking Radio Raheem and that, show me your ream. But he's fucking raging because he saw what was happening here. I don't know what his cut was, but it was clear enough to get him retired, chuck it in a few years' time for good.
Yeah, I know a few people on Twitter during the week were mentioning possibly Freddie Roach. That would have been the perfect link up because Golovkin's just signed a big money contract and Freddie loves money. So there you go. There would have been a match made in heaven, I suppose, the pair of them. Yeah, Smido has nominated DAZN for making a little balls up on those backing things. You know, when they interview people and they have the DAZN boards in the background, they put a female fight, I think it was, I haven't exactly screenshotted it, as being for all the heavyweight titles. Lonesome Jones, another fuck up from ITV Boxing. They accidentally put something about Arsenal up when they were trying to advertise the Jarrett Hurd, Julian Williams fight there. Adam Abramovich was nominated by Bolo Young. He scored the fight to Jacobs, but then apparently today he went back and watched it again and let us all know, because we were on tender hooks, you know, how he's rescored it now to Canelo apparently. So similar to back in the day when Amir Khan was scoring Manny Pacquiao against Marquez and he gave it to Pacquiao. I know he gave it to Marcus, didn't he? And then he went back and had another look and changed his mind. So there you go. Hopefully that'll put your minds at rest. Slack the Planet has nominated DAZN again. Taylor the Tape on DAZN said that Jacobs has a 6 foot reach. So you thought he could have got the jab off with those 6 foot arms. That would make his arms roughly 3 inches longer than he is tall. I think so. DAZN dropping bombs. I think another nomination for DAZN that I got as well was that the stream wasn't holding up too well. So DAZN taking L's. Hopefully they get it sorted out. Grumpy Yid has nominated Benjamin Eric Floyd, who is talking about DeGale and Chris Eubank Jr. Andy, any other nominations from you? That's all the ones I've got at the moment.
Yeah, I've got one for Eddie Hearn, basically after last night. I think he did it on IFL, actually. It was when Spiddle took a screenshot of it. Basically saying Andrade beats Canelo. That's for Eddie Hearn. And Daniel Cormier, I found his comment funny, actually. It's not really like a belly of the week, but it's meant to be it's a funny segment. But Daniel Cormier, who people know, I think he's the UFC heavyweight champion, I think he is. And he's basically laying into Sergio Mora and Brian Kenny for last night on DAZN. He says, Brian Kenny and Sergio Mora really fucking suck, man. Canelo won, but Danny fought a good fight. What the fuck? They ruined that fight. So, you know, what DAZN are doing in America, Sky are doing in the UK, Daniel. So, didn't get too downhearted about it, mate. And I think that's what I've got at the minute.
Mora did respond to that. He quoted it and said, thanks for watching. I think your striking sucks. So maybe I could work with you so John Jones doesn't beat your ass again.
That was salty. That was salty.
Yeah. But Eddie's one was ridiculous. Like, you're not going to fucking sell us Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, Eddie, all right? Relax with that, like, right? Fucking Andrade is not going to beat Canelo. Okay? Give us a fucking break, will you? Like, you can't sell us that one. Like, Andrade has the style to beat Canelo. Does he? Fuck. Come on, like.
Would you not rather see that, though, Rob, just to sort of get him out the way if Canelo's going to fight like somebody?
I don't want to see Boo Boo Andrade on DAZN versus Canelo for money. You're mad. No way. I definitely don't want to see that. He doesn't deserve it anyway. Who the what? No.
Road to Undisputed. Hashtag Road to Undisputed, Rob.
Fuck's sake.
It's trending. Food and drink.
I've got another one, actually. Did anybody catch G-Man is back 657 on Twitter the other day? They're doing the Tony Bellew greatest moment.
That was an awesome body of work. Well done. Yeah, well done to him.
Yeah, I mentioned there for that comments and that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Fair play to him. That was brilliant. Go and check him out. Actually, he does some excellent work in the field. Rob, any other nominations from you? Rob, sorry, any nominations to add?
No. I'm just gonna go for Eddie this week. I was going to nominate that one as well. Like, absolutely pathetic. The minute the fight's over, try to give us Boo Boo Andrade. Fuck off.
Nobody wants that work. I'm going for Lionel Thompson. I thought his explanation of how Jacobs might fail was quite a good one. Andy, who are you going for?
I've got a late one.
Sorry.
Whoa.
When you go, Rob.
Sorry. Eddie as well for saying that Devin Haney has Mayweather potential. Fucking hell. Devin Haney, who wouldn't draw flies, has Mayweather potential. Fucking hell.
Eddie Hearn would sell his own arse and Japs if it meant making a fucking pound note. Or a pound coin. You don't get pound notes anymore. But no, did anybody catch Adrian Broner on Instagram and on Twitter and that during the early half of the week in the club and that? And then he gets caught flying back. Coach, that was fucking epic, man. But I tell you what, I've been watching a few videos on Instagram and stuff like that with his missus. And can I say something? She is absolutely fucking no happy. She's raging. You see pictures with them, and taking videos at the poolside and that, clinking glasses and that, and her face spells out one thing and one thing only, and it says, Adrian Broner, you are a fucking dickhead. That's all he was, man. Going about the nightclubs and that with all this jewellery on. He wears everything that he owns, right? This fucking jewellery that's okay, he's actually in Hawk. He's got to pay off his jewellery bill. He's going to book me fucking bags of cash, like 100 grand, right? He gets pulled in at the fucking airport, cash taken off him, and he's still fucking flying economy class. Right? Oh, I'm still flush, brother. Are you fuck, man? I cannot wait for that. I can't wait for him to fucking wash up, man. Can't he fucking wait?
Well, it's coming pretty soon.
It's coming soon. It's
About
coming.
budget.
About budget.
That's what they were saying in the comments. I can't own that one.
Oh man.
About
No,
budget.
but I was going to say as well, late one for Fury. Fury got it bad this week. I'm a big Tyson Fury fan. Everyone knows it, but when you get it bad, you get it bad. He came out obviously and had a go at Hurd and said, put him back in the cupboard with 4 cans of Stella, alluding to the fact that he likes to drink. And everyone on social media was like, hold on, I thought you're supposed to be Mr. Get back up off the deck. And talk about fighters' personas with Broner, everyone has a persona. Fury's is a persona as well. This never give up thing. I'm there, the man of the people, I'm the people's champ and all. Come on, it's all a bit. Tyson likes an earner as well, and he knows what puts him in the public eye. It keeps him there. Eventually you're going to slip a little bit. But Andy Ruiz got him good as well when he said he looks. Joshua was fighting like the guy that looks like the kid from the Disney movie Up.
Yeah.
And Ruiz said, I didn't think as a mental health advocate he'd make fun of my weight. I thought he'd encourage me to lose something like that. So
quite good.
Yeah.
But see the thing with Broner and that, right? You can see people, he's in the nightclub and he's got the bottles of Cristal or whatever it was, or Dom Perignon, and he's fucking emptied out into the fucking ice bucket. And I'm watching, you see people running about and that, look at him and say, what the fuck are you doing? Then when you've got money, and then when you can't pay off a jewellery bill and you've fucking 12 kids, you can't pay maintenance bills off. Honestly, fuck, man. Honestly, fuck it. Honestly, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be like one of these. It's going to see the day his career comes to an end. By the way, and I'm Prime Minister. I'm calling a fucking national emergency. I'm calling a public holiday that day. By the way.
Who are you going for then, Andy?
Broner come in strong there. I just remember that
one. We'll call it a three-way tie, shall we? We'll call it a three-way. So we'll close up then with a question from Editing King. He was asking about the worst world champion. While the guys start to think of some names, I'll go up and down Fight News briefly and look at the list of current world champions. Heavyweight, it's a bit disingenuous because you can't really say any of them are the worst. Although if you're going by the shitty belts, Manuel Char holds one of the WBA ones, so he probably were the worst. Then at cruiserweight, Arsen Gulamarian is holding a WBA one as well, alongside Babet Shumanov, who continues to cling on. So a couple of dodgy ones there. While the boys are thinking light heavyweight, Gilberto Ramirez, I'd say he's probably one of the weaker ones, isn't he? Rob Brandt down at middleweight, yeah, one of the worst world champions. Across any weight.
What about Munguia? I mean, his reign of terror at 154 have been great, even though they have rung a fair number of defences out of the lad.
Yeah,
actually,
that's true.
Not been great.
You wouldn't have seen Tony Harrison as a world champion either, would you?
No, you wouldn't have seen that, mate. You wouldn't have seen that.
Welterweight strong, yeah.
Maurice Hooker.
Ramirez, Jose Carlos Ramirez is shit, I think. I don't rate him at all.
Yeah, well, I was high on him after that fight. Was it Aleem?
Aleem, yeah.
Yeah, it was a decent enough fight, but it's kind of died off. Lightweight, is Comey still a champion at lightweight?
He is.
He's got the broken hand, that's right. Yeah. Andrew Cancio at super featherweight.
Good shout. In the chat, Andy, Marco Barrera says Rocky Fielding, but he's not a champion anymore, is he? No. Charlie Edwards, MB, said, so it's current champions, guys, current champions at the moment, worst world champions. Cancio, yeah. Fair play to him. He's done really well for himself, but he is weak.
No, Kanzu, the Chinese champion.
Oh, Kanzu kick it. Yeah, he's WBA champion. It's always the WBA, isn't it? They have this bullshit belt on.
Serial kicker, Kanzu kick it. Chris Eubank for if you count the IBO.
Ray Vargas.
I
just cannot take to him at all. I cannot take to him at all.
What's he doing? Is he super? Oh, he's super bantamweight here.
What about? This is probably going to be like one that's going to cause a wee bit of hassle. A bit Tete.
What's his wins? I suppose
I just pulled up his record there. So he had that big. Remember that knockout he had that was like getting everybody all hyped about it. It was like
Against
15
Butler?
seconds. No,
Gonya. Yeah,
Gonya.
that's right. Yeah.
And then he shits the bed against Narvaez, and then it's another kind of
but
laboured.
Rob Brandt is there. Like, that's it. Like, fucking Rob Brandt is the worst world champion. Like,
Cao Yafai. He doesn't fight anybody.
That's true. Yeah, Mighty Mo Hooker in the chat. They're saying Sean Porter, Rob, is getting a bit of love in the chat for worst world champion as well.
Yeah, can't argue with that one. But no, don't be saying anything about Mighty Mo, like a young Marlon Starling, who Eddie Futch once compared to Ray Robinson and Jose Napoles. There's a bit of trivia for you.
My God, going into the realms of Bernard Superfly Mays now, Rob.
Well, as someone said in the chat there, by the way, just look at the WBA rankings. You can pick out any title list there. So you've got the gold champion, you've got the interim champion, the fucking champion recess. Plenty.
Yeah, Tosh Bear. Andy makes a good point. Demetrius Andrade, who the friggin' hell he's ever beat.
Here, can I say something, by the way? See that WBC title they put on the line there? That fucking Azteca belt.
Yeah.
You kind of actually renamed it after. Who was it now? Was it some fucking Mexican fucking prime minister or president or something like that?
Oh, the Mayan belt.
Aye. They actually named it after some fucking politician.
Right. Wasn't the guy with the big tits who boxed in Mexico? Do you remember him? The light heavyweight who he's like a politician and he had the implants.
I know you're talking about. No, it was to him. It was like Mickey Rourke, that cunt.
He gives us hope, that guy. I could get back in the ring if that's the standard.
Aye, Tommy's fucking in training right now.
Oh, yeah, he's not in training to come on here. Anyway, yeah, sorry. This is like the chat we have whenever the pod's finished. Sorry, everybody. You're still with us there. Let's finish up then, shall we? Anything else to add, gentlemen, before we go?
Yeah, I suppose, I have seen some comments about last night about, a rematch and that. I don't think we need a rematch, to be honest. I thought Canelo was a worthy winner. The scorecards, the draw for did Carol Froch get mentioned in the Bell of the Week, by the way?
No, he didn't. Didn't he have it 115 in the end?
Oh, man. I seen some kind of had a scorecard 117, 116.
116, yeah. The Murphy's 90 or something. They deleted that, yeah.
Aye. So again, I don't want to see. Oh, it's...
What's that? 9 rounds to 8?
That's like that Ramirez Whittaker scorecard back in the 90s, man.
The WBU title on the line.
Oh, Jesus. But no rematch required off that last night. And I agree with what Tommy was saying, by the way, as well, is I think once, a 28-year-old, when it's all said and done, he could retire tomorrow, and I still think he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Rob, final comments from you?
No, hard to argue with that. Like, Canelo's shown his class. Danny Jacobs was a worthy contender and probably the only guy that gave him a fight apart from Billy Joe in and around those divisions. So, yeah, Viva Canelo.
Viva Canelo indeed. Good words from Rapping Rob Kelly there to finish up episode 321 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Andy was with us as well all the way through. Thanks to Ozzy for jumping on mid-cricket club bash. And also, talking of bashing, Gabe was bashing heads tonight and chucking bodies into the back of boots, driving around the mean streets of Texas. Thanks to him for coming on as well. And also John Ryder, right at the top of the show, through WhatsApp from Las Vegas. He gave us his time. Well done, John. Absolute legend. Next week, I'm away. I can't make it on Sunday, May the 12th. So goodness knows what. You might end up with something. You might not. Who knows? I think we're going to have a host of some description. Maybe Emily Rogerson will come on and host the pod. You never know. I've been Steve Wellings for this week anyway. See you again on May the 19th. Thank you, everybody. Bye.